Welcome back to Pipe Dreams Podcast. If you're watching, as you can see, we're in some history here. We are in Owensboro, Kentucky, as known as the OWB. Today's guest is Roger Hayden, the youngest of the legendary Hayden brother family in Owensboro, Kentucky, and one of the most iconic families in motorcycle racing. A former AMA SuperSport champion, multi-time Superbike winner, and longtime factory Suzuki rider, Roger also made MotoGP wildcard appearance at Laguna, a highlight in a standout career. These days, he's MotoAmerica commentator and mentor, continuing to give back to the sport that helped define the Hayden family legacy. Welcome to Pipe Dreams, Roger.
Thanks, boys. Glad to see y'all here, and that you can come here and check out the OWB.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool. Gave us a tour yesterday. It's pretty special. We got some cool bikes behind us. We'll have to get into that a little bit, but Jimmy.
Totally, I forgot that you were here. No, I'm just I totally didn't even bring you in this time.
I'm just the guy setting up the cameras and all that, you know, right?
All right,
You're the technician.
Exactly.
Dude, one step at a time, we'll get it right. The intro, we won't bomb it.
Oh man, Before we get into anything though, Jimmy, we got to thank our sponsors. Before we get into that, we've got something coming this week, right? We got some new merch.
Yes.
Finally, I know we've been talking about it for quite a while now. We keep teasing it, but we actually did it. So it'll be dropping. When are we gonna drop it?
We're gonna drop it when we say this week. It's actually not this week.
It's actually out right now. By the time this comes out,
exactly. So it's the 18th now. So it'll probably be out. What? Probably next week.
You're just gonna confuse people at this point.
Okay, it's gonna be out when it's gonna be out. But
when you're listening to this, just go to our website and buy a T-shirt.
Yeah, Death Row Meal is gonna be out heavy.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. But we can't go on without thanking our partners. Of course, Jimmy, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, of course. Everybody knows Law Tigers has been behind us since the start. Law Tigers are America motorcycle lawyers. A motorcycle incident isn't something you ever anticipate, but you should always be prepared in the event something does happen. If you or someone you know is ever injured in a motorcycle accident, always call Law Tigers first. Their services are at no cost to the riders, and they always fight to get riders taken care of and back on the road. With Law Tigers, you never ride alone. Call 1-800-LAW TIGERS.
And second, we got Yuasa Battery, the most trusted battery in power sports since 1979. For over 45 years, Yuasa has delivered power, reliability, and passion at every turn. Yuasa supplies power sports batteries to more OEMs and riders than all of our competitors combined in the US and globally. The reason is simple: premium quality, unmatched reliability, long life, and advanced engineering with years of application expertise. Yuasa Battery, setting the standard for power sports batteries since 1979. Each and every day, Jimmy,
starts Yuasa.
Yep. Find your battery or your local Yuasa retailer via yuasabatteries.com. You like that, Rod?
I like that.
We've been working at it.
We're getting it down.
Dude,
oh, yeah.
We're dialing in.
We almost got it memorized. And last but not least, our newest partner, Gulf Point Advisors, a forward-thinking wealth advisory firm. Founded in 2016, Gulf Point Advisors is a New Orleans-based boutique investment firm led by longtime listener Tris Millard.
Trees.
It's Tris.
Trees Millard.
Dude, you're messing me up right now.
Okay, hit it.
Helping clients nationwide get on track with their financial goals, whether it's investing, planning for the future, or just making smarter money decisions. Tris has been a listener of the pod for a while and reached out after hearing some of our conversations. Why do you keep laughing at me, dude?
I'm not laughing at all. I'm not. I love it. I think you got this dialed.
About the financial side of racing, the highs, the regrets, and the wish I'd invested sooner moments. He wanted to support what we're building here while also offering his expertise to our audience. The best part is Tristan understands racers. He knows the thrill of burning through a set of fresh tires on the weekend, and he's not here to judge you. He's here to help you make sure your money is working as hard as you do. So if you have any financial questions, Jimmy, or want to learn more about the benefits of professional money management, call our good friend Tris at 603-731-3230 or email Tris at gulfpointadvisors.com. That's TRIS at gulfpointadvisors.com. Gulf Point Advisors, investing with purpose.
It's Tris for sure.
It is Tris. I know it is.
1,000%.
Yeah, this guy's always trying to mess me up.
Hey, I'm definitely not going to get on somebody for mispronouncing the name, so I do it for a living.
Gulf Point Advisors, investing with purpose. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through New Edge Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor. New Edge Advisors LLC and Gulf Point Advisors are separate entities from LPL Financial.
I love that. We're going to get you to do the old blurb next. Dude, we're just speaking about that. When we did the Road America, the Mini Cup kids, there was some names on there that I
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not envious of you guys with that stuff.
We were struggling.
The mom gave me a list again this year. The two brothers, I can't remember the last name, but like how you sound it out.
Yeah.
So
Really?
we got it right the second day.
Syllable by syllable.
Yeah.
It's tough, though, because you like, especially when, I mean, you don't know. You see the kids, once a year, right? It's tough to, and then there's
so many different names, like Levy. Some people call it Levi. So you just, sometimes it's just different. Some I just can't get out.
Yeah. I'd imagine you got to walk around and kind of introduce yourself to everyone and hear how they pronounce it, huh?
Well, Raj, tell us, where are we? Where are we? Everyone's going to see, whoever's watching is going to see kind of the history behind us, but where exactly are we?
Yeah, we're at my parents' house where you probably seen where Nicky used to post about it, called it Sunset Downs. My dad used to have race horses here, and that's where the name came. And when we got a little bit older, they had this garage put in, and Nicky lived on the top, but we had our motorcycle stuff over there. But my dad started a museum, and that's what he wanted to do, and that was his dream. And slowly we got our championship bikes, and we got a lot of history leathers from when we were kids and old helmets. And when you come in, it's just a little bit of our history. And some of these bikes have a lot of meaning. Tommy's first SuperSport title, Nicky's, mine, the bike that Nicky won all the history on, and some MotoGP trophy. So just a lot of history.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, honestly, when you walk in.
It's very inspirational. Like when you come and you look at it, I think we live in a world that is so fast that we forget. Like I was talking to Raj, there's a Bruce Transportation, and I was best friends with Brent, and I literally lived through like looking at that. That's what I want to be when I grow up. And I mean, it's crazy to see the history and to be like, wow, like you guys have covered a lot of ground.
And for me, it's kind of hard, like just being a brother. Like it just feels like a family thing. Like when I see other people come in and they're like, wow, I'm just like, I'm not, it's kind of hard to, especially with the Nicky stuff, because he was just a brother, but other people see it and they're like, wow, and, just sitting there looking at it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talked about that last night because, Nick McFadden and I were talking about how much stuff you guys have, but it's almost like, it's like anything, and you look at your own stuff for long enough, it kind of loses its cool factor. So when people come over your house or whatever and they're like checking stuff out, you're kind of like, oh yeah, just like, X, Y, Z.
Just a bike.
Just a bike, just a helmet. But, I think it is really special. I mean, especially for kids now, because I think a lot of the generation just starting out, like they know of you guys, right? But they didn't get to watch you guys. So it's kind of like almost lost on them a little bit,
And we're thinking about doing a museum. Y'all seen all Nicky's leathers and stuff, and then put all his bikes in it. We have his MotoGP 2006 bike here in town, and we also have a Ducati MotoGP bike that we have. So, this is what it is now, but hopefully in a couple years we're able to put it all together and put the time in and make something even cooler.
I think it would be awesome. I mean, one for the town, but two for like the next generation of, our next U.S. world champ. Like, where is that going to come from? And that inspiration might not be, in the series currently.
Yeah.
Might have to take somebody to come and be like, wow. Yeah. And it's impressive to see the pictures. It's like timeless, like all of this. And I think me and Corey both were like, we lived through like just the end of, all these years, and it's pretty crazy to see. Like even for me, like it being such a dirt track in my blood, and looking at these bikes, watching the Springfield TT and the short tracks, and looking at the bikes behind, I'm like, damn, dude.
Yeah. The trophies are cool too. Like you don't really. Sometimes you forget, and then yesterday when we were looking at that stuff, see a Daytona 200 trophy on the rack, and it's like, dang, that's pretty cool,
Do you ever take the time to actually look at? That's actually fun. I have that same Nicky poster above my bed. It's autographed. Richie got it for me when I was a kid. I didn't even see that yesterday. That's cool. Do you ever like come in here and look at stuff, or is it not really until people come over?
Not really until people come over, but every once in a while I'm here. I'll come out and I'll check out the pictures and like hit the memories. But it's just see stuff that you forget about, like a kid's set of leathers I had when I was little, or my very first custom painted helmets like right above us, and you come out and you're like, man, that's pretty cool. And I'll try to come out here and look at it every once in a while. And the cool part's the pictures, like after Nicky won some big races, or me, and our parents are there, so it's like not just us, it feels like a whole family museum.
It's got to be tough. Like, I mean, every year at the end of the year, like, you end up with so much gear and shit. You know what I mean? All your team uniforms and jackets and all that stuff. But having 3 of you guys,
Yeah.
what did you do with all this stuff after you're done with it?
Well, I have a bunch of stuff in the shed at my house, just sitting out back. But a lot of it, Nicky still has his house here, and he has a lot of stuff there. And Tommy's got a lot of his stuff. But Nicky kept a lot. I mean, he had these big crates at the end of the year sent in with, like, all these different things. And, you know, one time he had this tail section off the Repsol Honda he was throwing away. And I like to collect stuff. I'm like, dude, what are you doing with this thing? You know what I mean? Like, for me, it was a Repsol tail section. And he's like, well, just take it. It's the trash. I'm like, you don't get it.
It's insane. I mean, I feel guilty, though. I mean, at least if you donate it, it'll probably end up in a thrift shop nowadays somewhere. Some kid will be paying too much money for it to look cool. But, I mean, it's just there's so much stuff. I can't even imagine with how many years. When did you guys start? When did you guys actually start racing? What year was it?
I don't know. Toward the end of the 90s, like professionally toward the end of the 90s. I was 98, and my brothers were a little bit before that. So it's been a long time, and of course we all have our own stuff at our house as well, so you got like your own. It's almost nice having this because you do have so much stuff. You know, like when you run out of room for a set of leathers, just throw it up here on the rack.
I think it's pretty crazy to even go further back. Like, when did you guys actually start riding?
I don't even know. I mean, it was like, it happened so young, I don't even know the start date. Like, it was just normal. You know, I would go to the box. My sisters raced, so it was like like families go baseball trips now, travel baseball. We went around flat tracking, and that's what we did. My little sister raced as well. So I don't know exactly when it started, but I mean, we were so young. Like, I don't have a memory of life before being in that box van.
That's crazy. That's so young. So, I mean, like 3, 4, 2?
Oh, yeah, for sure, 3. I wasn't racing yet at 3, but Tommy was. Yeah, he did his first race when he was, like, super young, and then it just followed from there. I mean, I know at 8 years old, 8 and 9 years old, I did my first little flat track, but I was already going to the races before I asked my brothers, but I didn't really have a huge interest when I was, like, 6, like they did, and then, you know, once I got, like, 9, I wanted to go do what my brothers were doing.
You probably didn't have much of a choice because you're riding along either way, right? So
no.
it's either sit there and be bored or go race.
And then when you're the younger brother, like my first race, I wore cowboy boots at a flat track, and we still have a picture of it, and it just shows you the third brother gets the last of the hand-me-downs.
That's some rough stuff. Well, your dad raced as well, though, right? Your dad raced dirt track?
Yeah, he raced dirt track, and he did a little bit of road racing. I know he did the Daytona 200 one time because he always tells the story when we complain about gloves or leathers that he did the 200 one time with no gloves.
What?
So I don't know if it's true or not. He liked to tell stories. He never made it like to the professional level, but he definitely grew up doing flat track, and that's where he started. And all of his buddies around here, same thing. They all started doing flat track, and that's why we started at flat track, because that was like his passion.
Was the Owensboro always a kind of a spot for that? Like, was your dad born and raised in Owensboro?
Yeah, my dad was, but it wasn't. We were really the first. Right? We were really known for NASCAR. The Waltrip brothers are from here. Jeremy Mayfield's from here. Also, the Green brothers. They didn't make it super big, but yeah. So it was more known for NASCAR because Michael and Daryl are from right here, and then Jeremy Mayfield came along after them. So for a long time, Owensboro was known for car racing.
Huh. There's a lot of dirt tracks though around here.
Yeah, a lot. There used to be a ton, like in Paducah, like a couple hours away. Yeah. You could go and spend the weekend and get a lot of racing. And my dad always looked for the places where we could do 2 a weekend. Even we'd finish on Saturday, then try to drive and catch another one. That since we were already on the road, they don't have that many anymore. But there was a series around here when we were kids that had just tons of flat tracks.
Just to kind of, hone your skills. But was it always like a dream for Earl to have you guys go pro? Or was it just a family, like staying together?
Just a family thing. That's how it started. Just a family. And that the local flat tracks is where my dad met Jake Lewis's dad.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and that's how they became friends, because we've seen them at those races. And then also Jake's dad worked at a dealership, didn't own it. And he gave us parts at cost. And my dad said at that time that was like a factory ride. You know, you're buying parts for 5 kids. Then now you get dealer costs. But I think you always have that dream for a kid, but I don't think you could expect, you know, when you get your kid a dirt bike that he's going to go be MotoGP world champion.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. When your dad, I guess in that era, was your dad always a fan of road racing? Was that like his dream, or because dirt track was pretty big at that point? Like
yeah,
late 80s, early 90s, dirt track was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was the start of the switch, though.
Yeah, but he's seen where flat track was, you know, was kind of dwindling out and road racing was getting really big. So we dabbled in to road racing a little bit, and he asked, I think it was Scotty Parker one time, hey, you know, we're at the jumping off point with our kids. Are we road racing? Do we need the flat track? And he said, go road racing. And that's where, like, our focus really started to shift, especially for Tommy and Nicky. My focus toward road racing, I was still doing it a little bit, but mine was a little bit later than theirs.
And so when that switch, that jumping off point, but so were you ever going to races without them going road racing, you going dirt track?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tons of, I mean, a lot. You know, you got 3 brothers and 2 parents.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know Dallas Daniels' dad?
Yeah.
He took me everywhere, flat tracking.
Oh,
he would swing by here, pick me up, and that's where the Dallas and my dad connection came from. So, his dad, Nick, would come pick me up, work my bikes all weekend. He took me to Bike Week one time, do all the flat tracks there, and a couple other people. But, yeah, there was a lot that I did alone. And I remember one time I was like 14. I was racing in Indianapolis, and my brothers were, I think it was St. Louis at the time. But my dad drove all night Saturday so he could watch me on Sunday.
Wow. That's super
wild.
cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just committed.
Yeah.
So at that time, I mean, school?
Yeah, we went to school. That was one thing that was non-negotiable for my parents, was school. And actually, they always put it like my first contract, I was in high school, and obviously Nicky's as well. And they always made them put in there that we had to get a 2.0, like in school. Which, I mean, that's not that hard. But they had it in the contract where you had to go to school and get a 2.0.
Wow.
You want to hear something wild?
Yeah.
When we were in high school, Nicky was only 1 year ahead of me. He won a race at Willow Springs, a Superbike race. We flew all night to get back to school because we had school the next day. And as soon as we walk in, some teacher says, hey, Nicky, your T-shirt, you know, you got to tuck it in. And I was just thinking, this dude just won a Superbike race yesterday. In less than 24 hours, some teacher's telling him to tuck his shirt in.
Probably made more money than the teacher made his whole year, right, in that one race.
So it was kind of funny stories when you think about to that kind of stuff, just how, you know, it's just kind of some cool stories.
Do you think that's what, like, helped you guys stay humbled? Like, one of my things for the Hayden family is just how humbled you guys, everybody I've talked to, Tommy, Earl, you, everybody, your whole family's been so just humbling. Like, there's never like, when you look around, you could easily be something different, right? But you guys have always just kind of held that absolute just...
Yeah, really, that's my parents. That was like one thing they would not put up with, like misbehaving or throwing a temper tantrum at the race weekend. When we grew up flat tracking, my dad used to make us go thank the promoter at the end of the night. Hey, thanks for putting on this race. Every night, every flat track we went to.
Do you feel like that's lost a little bit these days?
Yeah, I think that's lost big time because people want to complain now. I mean, you can look at the MotoAmerica series right now, how far they've come in 10 years, and people want to get online and say stuff. I'm like, dude, I just wish you could live in 2013 for 1 year. And then you'd be praising MotoAmerica. You guys were there.
We lived through it.
Yeah, so it's definitely lost now on that. I mean, there's some, but people don't really, I don't think, appreciate the work. And I think that's why there's not a lot of flat tracks and other races anymore. It's just people don't want to get yelled at all night by parents.
Yeah, you know, you see, I mean, like, I know Corey Texter does his thing, right? And it seems like every time he has an event, like the next week after on Facebook, is like
he's just statement after statement.
Yeah, it's like you got to defend yourself.
Emergency press release from Corey Texter.
My dad got that because he actually put on a race here in town. and a couple people like complained, and he's like, dude, I lost my butt on this race and put it on for everybody, and nobody was happy. I just got complaints all night. And then that's where that mentality from him came from, was go and thank those people.
Yeah, I mean, you got to. I mean, it's definitely one of the things that you see making it tougher and tougher. Comparatively, when you first started out, I mean, what would you say some of the biggest differences are in like the trajectory of how you guys started out to where it is now, and like the road to actually getting to a place where you could make a living racing motorcycles?
I think, well, when I first was like 16, there was like 16 factory supported riders in the super sport class.
Holy smokes.
You know what I mean? Not on factory teams, but their contracts came from the factory. And I think that's the biggest thing that I see now is the big dip we had. You know, there used to be huge crowds. People were making good money, you know, all that. And then it just started going downhill. And then from like 2009 to till when MotoAmerica took over, it was just, I mean, it was in the tank, dude. I mean, it was like every year you'd be waiting to get your contract done, but we'd be like, okay, what's November? We don't know if they're having a series next year or how many races it's going to be. And then now you get MotoAmerica, tons of factory riders. You're like, you know, for so many years I never worried about traffic on the way out. Now I'm like, man, do I want to book my flight that early Sunday night because I'm going to be sitting in traffic getting out? And then the big thing is just teams coming in, more rides. And used to, there for a while when I first started, like I said, there was tons of rides. Then there for a while, I mean, there was like really only 3 or 4 rides in all classes. And then now it's pretty big again, and it's going to continue to grow. And a lot of that, I know, you know, some people don't realize, but MotoAmerica puts so much into this, and that's why it's growing.
I mean, you can see just from the media standpoint, you can see, I mean, I think one of the big things as well is bringing some international riders.
Yeah.
Right? I think the credibility has been lost for so long until that, you know, Baz first year. I think the credibility started to come back in. And not because we don't have credibility in America, just because people outside of America didn't realize the level. And then you bring somebody who they're like, oh, no, dude, that guy is fucking good.
Yeah.
And then he comes in and he doesn't win. You're like, oh, shit, maybe they are pretty good over there.
Yeah. And the thing with that is people didn't want to come.
Yeah.
Why would you come? There's no ride. You had to buy a ride there for many years. And now people started looking at MotoAmerica, and they've seen how big it was, how it's growing. People are making good money. And, you know, I really didn't honestly realize what all MotoAmerica put into it one time till I was at where we have lunch from the TV stuff. And I looked around, and there's like 50 people there. And I was thinking, all these people are getting paid. MotoAmerica's paying all these. I mean, that is a lot of people. And then I look down pit lane, see all the MotoAmerica officials down there. And it's like, I don't think people realize the investment that they were making to grow this series where it's at.
I mean, also, like, dude, you guys are on live plus from Friday to Sunday nonstop.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize I mean, I've had the pleasure to be able to do, you know, 1 or 2 one-off deals with MotoAmerica, AFT, this. I mean, just that commitment alone is insane, let alone just running a race series.
Yeah.
Like, just the TV side.
I mean, it was really interesting when we had Chuck on last year, I think it was. And, I mean, yeah, I mean, we obviously had a lot of questions about that stuff, but I think probably the biggest thing people don't realize is it's not that big of a infrastructure.
No.
You know, with what they're doing, they're doing a lot with a little. Talk about, though, I'm curious, obviously you got into the announcing thing, touching on what Jimmy was talking about. How difficult is it to sit in front of a camera all day long? I mean, we do this for 3 hours at a clip, and it's like, it flies by, but we're not making up stuff. Like, we're asking questions. You're just kind of rambling, you know, about racing and what's going on in front of you for, is it 8 hours a day?
Yeah, some days it's 8 hours. I mean, 9 a.m. to we leave at 5.
Well, it's funny, too, because, I mean, like, knowing you growing up, you weren't necessarily the most talkative. So it's kind of like, you know, has it been tough?
It's been tough. And funny you say that, because when people ask, hey, what are you doing now? I'm like, oh, I'm an announcer. And they're like, don't you talk for that job? You know? And I'm like, yeah. But honestly, it was way harder than I thought. I mean, way harder than I thought, because you're live. You got to watch everything you say. People take everything personal, you know? So, you know, whatever you say. And, you know, sometimes when somebody ignores me, I think back to like, oh, yeah. I said that. So it was definitely, it wasn't something I dreamed of, but my first year when I was retired in 2019, I had a monster deal, and I had 1 year left. And I said, hey, I'm retiring. What do you want? Do we still have our deal? I just want to let you know. And they said, well, you can keep it, but just do something. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I called Chuck, and I was like, hey, I need to do a couple things. I know y'all got the Live Plus. Can I come in and just set in a couple sessions at Road Atlanta?
Just wear my hat and I'll just sit in the background.
and I said, you don't have to pay me. And he paid my expenses, and I came in and did a couple sessions, and then that was it for the year, maybe one more. And then COVID came. And then Michael Hill couldn't make it. And if you remember, Road America was the first event during the COVID era that was a big sporting event. And Michael Hill couldn't get over. And Chuck called me and said, hey, do you want to, fill in this weekend? And I'm like, yeah, I do, actually, because I'm looking for, I'm ready to do something. And I went there, and I didn't know, where I was going to start, what I was going to do. And then he missed the next race, so I came to the next one. And then it was like, hey, Michael's going to be back for the next one. He couldn't get in. I flew in and it just snowballed like that until I guess it was 2019, maybe 2020. And finally, my parents were going on a trip, and I was going to go with them. And I said, hey, Chuck, there's 3 races at this time. My family wants to take a trip, so, you think I'm in or I'm out? And he's like, I don't even care if Michael's back. I want you to be there for the rest of the year. Y'all have to figure it out. And from there, that's where it came on. And it is the hard part, because you always have to talk. You're live. You can't have, just think about on this podcast, we just sat here for 30 seconds with no voice. And the hard part too is the classes are so big now. We have to keep up with Twins and Stock 1000, and sometimes they raced 3 races ago, and then they're back, and you got to try to figure out the new names, and the classes are big. And that was one of the hard parts for me. And also, I didn't really talk a lot at first because I didn't want to make a mistake. I was like, I just don't say much. You can't, can't mess much up.
Yeah.
And then finally, I was just like, dude, it's just like crashing. I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to pronounce some dude's name wrong. I'm going to say some dude got a podium last race and he didn't get the podium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm on, like you said, on air 8 hours. And then it was just from there, it became easier. And then I'd listen to Greg and Jason. I hear things like they do or their energy that I like in other series. And I try to, or information they give out, and I try to carry it over. And I really do put a lot of effort into it. Whether people like listening to me or not, and if you don't, it's not because I just show up, collecting a check. I do my homework. I try to do my research. I try to, that's why I got all the results always from the year before. I genuinely try to do a really good job, just because I want to be one of those people that do a good job. But I also want people, because it's about putting in the effort, whether I'm good or not. There's no way I could put in any more effort. And I'm a huge football fan, and I used to be so hard on the announcers. I used to tweet online, I wish I could just volume this game, Joe Buck and other announcers. And then I started doing it, and I'd hear a buddy starting to complain about an announcer. I'm like, hey dude, that's way harder than you think.
Yeah, when we did our thing together just for the mini cup, I was super impressed with the preparation, and because I tried to be prepared, and it was one of my first times doing it. And I remember the first thing was like, "Hey, you want to lead?" And I'm like, "Bro, I don't know what I'm doing." And then Raj took it, and I was like, "Damn, dude, you got this dialed."
Yeah.
Because I haven't really listened, too much until up to that point, and just seeing it face to face, I was like, nice, man. I didn't know what to expect, right? Because I just know you as a friend, and I've heard you on MotoAmerica, but never been next to you, doing it. And I've always had somebody there to handle it. And I was like, damn, what are we gonna do, dude? Yeah, and Raj just took it and gone.
A couple years ago, though, that wouldn't have been the case. But sometimes we've had situations where I was the only one in the TV booth for whatever reason, and I would have to pick up. And that was the hard part for me, was like going into commercial or coming out of commercial. The most I ever did that was at New Jersey this year. And I was like, because we only had one person in the booth. So you got to like do like a 30-second countdown to a commercial. And like, that is so hard, what Jamie does and what Greg White does. People don't understand. You got to have the energy. And I used to always, I got some folders and I put every class. And then all my notes from that class. So every time that class would come out, I'd get my folder out. And that's how I could keep up with the information. And throughout the weekend, I keep every class in one folder. And it's being new, that kind of the cool part now. Everybody I've worked with has, not Greg and Jason, but on the Live Plus, they've all did the same thing. So it's like, I don't know, it kind of makes you feel good when you feel like you did something that, that was valuable.
Yeah, brought a little bit something to the team.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's, obviously it's not racing because nothing's racing, but do you feel like it's kind of filled a little bit of that for you? Just like even like hearing about your preparation, and it's kind of like the same thing as going training, right? Well,
I love the sport. That's the big thing. I don't, and I was looking for something to do. The first year I was retired was nice. I didn't do a lot. I was at home, but, you start feeling lazy. People are like, hey, what are you doing now? And I'm like, oh, just chilling, and then, you know what I mean? And
Feed the goats.
and then after a while, you're like, dude, I need to do something. And so it filled it because I love being at the track. And, but there is some days when you see somebody having a really good day, I've had those, and you're like, God, this is the best, And then you have them days where you crash 3 times one weekend, and I'm like, yeah, this seat's not too bad. It fulfills it. I'd like to, if there was something else I could do that ever came down the line, was I'd like to work for the team, kind of like what Ben does. That would be, I want to be in the sport, the announcing does that, but if I was going to do something else, I'd like to kind of do what Ben does.
Like with rider coach?
Yeah, and then like with the team, like if I can bring something valuable, I don't want to just come and do nothing. So I think it would be cool. So you're like on the grid. You're in the, the big choices, what tire you're in the qualifying, and there's only 7 minutes left and you're trying to thrash to get out. That would be kind of fun to be back in that. But it definitely helps going to the track and still seeing fans. And also, it gives me more opportunities. There's other things I've done announcing-wise because MotoAmerica gave me that opportunity.
Do you, when you say, like, is that something that, do you kind of mentor anybody now? Like, do you speak with any riders, or is it kind of?
Not a lot. What was it? Before last year, I worked with Hayden for
Oh,
a year.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just a little bit. Not the year he won the title. But yeah, we worked together a little bit that previous year. And then now that we do the pre-show, I can't, because I'm doing TV stuff from sun up to sundown. So I don't have time I would only get to see the rider before first practice or the morning practice on Saturday, and then at the end of the day. So there's some people obviously that will ask me questions here and there, and I answer them. But it would be fun to try to figure out how to work more with the rider and help them to improve, and how to dissect the tracks and what just all the stuff that takes, it takes forever to figure out those little things that start to add up.
And is that kind of what you were working with Heron? Was just like,
yeah, just some little, and I've known him, seen him since he was, I heard about him before I seen him, because everybody was talking about Josh Heron, the new kid, and a lot of it was just some of those little things, and then watching what other people did. Hey, so and so's going over this curb, or you're going under this bump, everybody else is going around that bump, and you don't think about that, but that stuff starts to add up if you're hitting the same bump all weekend, and then you don't figure it out till lap 10 of the race that everybody else is going around it.
Did you have that with your brothers? Did you guys like kind of share stuff like that, or did you guys kind of coach each other when you guys were racing? Yeah,
well, more my brothers with me, and then toward the end I could have something to tell Nicky here and there. And I do remember when we did the MotoGP in 2007, I was behind Nicky, I don't know, like early on, and we were hanging out afterwards, and he's like, when you behind me, did you see anything? And I'm like, you talking to me? You know what I mean? Because I've never, really gave him a lot of feedback. And then from there, he would ask little things. But one of my biggest mistakes, I didn't use my brothers soon enough because I wanted to figure it out on my own. I was the little brother, and, I got everything because of my last name and this and that. So I'm just like, no, I'm going to be my own. I'm going to figure it out. And then when I started talking to them, when me and Tommy became teammates in 03 or 04 maybe at Kawasaki, and then, dude, I just started pestering. Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing with that? Why don't you shift here? Why? And then I started asking them questions like, hey, Nicky, watch this race. Tell me what I can do different. And it was like having two coaches that I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't using because of my ego. And then once after that, dude, I didn't mind asking anybody a question. If somebody was a rider coach for another rider and they were out there watching, I'd be like, hey, what'd you see out there? And, some people are like, dude, I can't tell you that. But sometimes somebody does tell you a little something.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like growing up, was that a lot of a thing for you with having two older brothers?
Oh, yeah.
It definitely was a stigma or something you battled against?
Yeah, big time.
You think people realize that so much, though?
I think now, they do. But for a long time, it was always just, he just got it because his brother. If his last name wasn't Hayden, he wouldn't have got. I mean, really, toward the end of my career, when I was winning Superbike races, it wasn't as bad. But I won a Superbike race in 2017, and somebody commented on my Instagram, if it wasn't from his last name, he'd be working at Kroger's. And I'm like, dude, I got pole. I won a Superbike race, got second in the other, and if my last name wasn't Hayden, I'd be, sweeping the floor at Kroger. But toward the end, it got a lot better. And because some of that was, and a lot of it was my own fault. Because when I first turned 16, I wasn't really that serious, with the training. And I worked on all my talent and just leaned on that. And then I struggled. And so a little bit of it was my own doing.
When do you think that turning point was? Like, what did you struggle with? Like, you just weren't getting results? Like, I mean, were you saying 16 you turned pro, and is that when you got your first contract?
Yeah.
Who was it with?
Suzuki, but it was with 1-800 Cycle Gear. It's like a CD team, but my contract was through Suzuki. The big thing for me was just not getting in shape. It's just the little stuff, the mental stuff. And I could have a good result and struggle the next week. So I was a little hot and cold, and then I had some good races. And the big change for me was when I got the factory Cowie ride, because I had 0 offers. I mean, I was done. And then they came in and was like, they started to attack Kawasaki team. And they were going to have me come there. And, my dad has always been, he's not hard, but he's brutally honest. Brutally honest. And in a good way. And he said, you put as much effort as anybody. It's just between the races. You got to, he's always not. You got to show up like this right here, like talking about like in shape. And then before that year, he's like, this is a big opportunity for you. You need to take it. And I hired Alden Baker either that year or the year after. But when I showed up at Daytona in 2004, it wasn't the same person they seen at the last race. And I was all in. Well, I went to the first test with the TAC and Kawasaki at Willow Springs. And I've been training a ton. I mean, I was ready for this. And me and Richard Stamboli, we were killing it, compared to the factory guys. And it was snowing. And we're just out there putting in heaters. And about a week later, the factory team called and said, hey, you're getting bumped up to the factory team. Tony's going to attack. And that's where, and then from there, I knew, dude, you got to go. This is your this is your chance or it's over. Because literally, before I signed that Kawasaki, I had one ride, and I didn't get it till like October. Like the very last seat available, where I was like done, because I wasn't going to go do it as a privateer.
Yeah.
Like, so from there, I just got in shape. I followed Tommy around all winter, went to California, the motocross track. And then once you start seeing the results,
It's easy.
you start getting better. Like, you start suffering a little bit less on the bicycle. The motocross track, I was staying closer to Tommy for longer, because you always spot each other when you're riding, who's quicker than the other one, even though you don't talk about it or have lap times. Like, when you go back to the truck, I know how bad I was getting smoked or not. And it just carried over, and I showed up Daytona 2004. And I remember I came home from California that winter. It was still cold here, and I went in my dad's room, had a sweater on, and I unzipped it. And I walked in so he could see me. And he's like, dang, boy, you look just like that right there. And it was just, I don't know, it was a cool moment, because I don't ever walk around with the shirt off. Usually I zip that up, you know what I'm saying? And then I come in with it unzipped and,
Just knocking.
Oh, yeah, he was hyped, dude. He was like, yeah, just like, this is going to be awesome, man. This is what you needed. And I'm like, like a hype guy.
Ready to run through a wall.
Yeah.
I love that though. I mean, do you feel like it was ever hard for your parents to give the same level to all three of you guys, like as far as that energy, that motivation, or whatever the case is?
Yeah, I think it's hard, because you got to figure out, some kids take it good, some doesn't. And my dad was really good at that, because he could come and, you think another person might think your dad's being too hard or pushing you or being a mini coach. My dad used to always say, hey, I'm telling you this just because I'm not trying to cut you down. It's because I love you. So it was never like my dad was being hard. It was like, yeah, he wants me to do the best. So I never took it as he's being hard, but you do have to figure out, like, I needed that, like, that honesty, because nobody else was giving me that. Behind my back, everybody was saying it. But like Nicky, dude, he needed the opposite. He needs somebody to bring him down a little bit, because, I mean, he would ride nonstop, train, and it was just like all day.
What's up, kitty?
We got a little guest.
Gone. Where do you think you guys got because Tommy was, I don't know, but he's, from what I've heard or remember, he was kind of a mixture of the two of you guys. Yeah. Where did you guys each get that from? You think you're just like born, or?
I think just born, and for Nicky, he's always had a huge work ethic. I mean, you see my parents' place here. My mom used to put every Christmas light up, every inch of this place, and Nicky would do it sun up to sundown. Like, he just always had that drive to work. I mean, he would go, my brothers both, and even I, when I was like 16, my mom would make us go farm with their uncles. And like, Nicky would go there and like just wear it out. And, he just always had that drive, that commitment. And Tommy had it too. Like you said, it was like a mixture. And then, I ended up getting it. It just, it just took me a little longer.
You had to learn it more than just have it. Do you think that you ever, at what point did you realize that you were kind of on the same level as your brothers? Because I feel like I could see how that could be tough, being the youngest one, where you're always kind of looking up to them. But there's got to be a point where you realize that, obviously you always look up to them still, but you're kind of on a same playing field, I guess. Did you ever have a moment where you felt that?
I had when me and Tommy were teammates, and then I could be close to him testing, and then you can see it, and then, I beat him a couple of times leading up to that, but it was like hit and miss. So personally, to me, that didn't count. You beat somebody once. But the big thing was, I had Dan Fahey for my crew chief when I went to Kawasaki, and God, he was so smart, and he was a good family friend. And we were testing at Laguna, and I was a little bit off from Tommy. And, he's like, hey, what's up? And I was always this guy, bike's good. Bike's good. Never wanted to make no changes just because I didn't know. When I grew up flat tracking, one of the guys that used to take me racing when I want something changed on the bike, he told me the easiest thing to change was the rider when I was like 14. So, and then this guy like really like set me down. He's like, "Is Tommy just a second better than you?" And I was like in a nice, like a, motivating way. And I'm like, "No, he ain't a second better than me." He's like, "Well, he's going a second quick. What's the hold up?" And then from there, I was like, "Well, the bike wouldn't chatter in turn 5, and the gearing wasn't off in turn 8. I could probably be a little bit closer." And he's like, "All right, let's work on that stuff." And from there, that's where, like, it's changed. And I started working with the team and the bike, and just everything came together and came out in Daytona. And, I was right there in the win for both races, Stock 1000 and Supersport, which hadn't happened. And I knew then, like, I'm here.
You can run with them.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's lost a little bit nowadays too? Like, you grew up racing multiple classes, huh? Like, you were racing.
It's kind of foreign now.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, it's kind of weird to race. I mean, Hayden's done it. There's a few people doing it again, but like.
But not even. I mean,
not the same
now with
team.
the bagger stuff, you see a little bit more of it.
Yeah, but
you
not
don't-
the same team.
No.
Yeah, well, it was just normal for everybody did Supersport and Superbike or Stock 1000. Like, everybody. Like, my first Supersport race, not to do this back in my time, but back in my time, I did my first Supersport race. The Hummel, the Boston, like, all the guys winning Superbike races was in Supersport. My brothers hiking, like, all these guys winning Superbike races and podium Superbike, I'm lining up against from Supersport. And I think that is a little bit. I think one thing that's kind of lost is people hold their kids back a little too long.
Like, getting up on bigger bikes,
bigger
on bigger
bike,
classes.
bigger classes. They'll keep their kid in the class till he ages out. He's won the last 4 titles, but they get to go tell all their buddies they won the championship again.
Do you think it's that as much as it's just, I mean, you used to be able to just show a little bit of promise. Next thing you know, you got a contract to move up. You think that's also maybe a little bit part of it?
A lot of it, too, is, to your point, it's a lot less opportunity.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, when I was turning 16, there was like 16 guys that was factory supported in Supersport.
They kind of talk about during that time, you said there's like an A, B, C, and D team. Like, for people that don't quite understand how deep, because like the earliest I remember was like when there was, 3 Suzuki teams, right? Suzuki, M4, Matsushima, the police team. Like, that's the earliest I remember. But like, explain why. Like, was there a feeder team from Weir Nationals?
If you were young enough or you were winning club races, they would maybe give you an opportunity so there'd be the factory team, then there'd be the factory supported team that was like, your next step before a Superbike. And then there was always like a third team. And when I was on the third teams, my contracts came from the factory. So I was on like the third Honda team on the Bruce bike, but I was still, contract was coming from American Honda. And even at Suzuki, they had the factory team. Then they had Chaparral.
Oh, yeah.
And then they had 1-800 Cycle Gear. And even on those teams, my contract was. So you're thinking about there's 6 riders right there just from, Suzuki. And just go from there. Then Kawasaki had 6. And then, Honda had that many. And I think that's the big thing is just there was opportunities and feeders. You guys know it's hard to go road racing and race against the factories if you don't have some help. I mean, you need some help. And when you're on those third teams, you still got to go testing with the factory guys. You got to see what they're doing. So you had more opportunities. Now for a kid, they're coming, they're getting there. But if you're a 16-year-old kid now, where are you going to, it's like, when do you get your foot inside the door at a factory? DeMario's did a great job now doing that. Yeah, Davis. So now you're seeing it again. It's starting to happen. It's coming back.
Kayla.
Yeah.
Even though, I guess, like, if you can talk on it, but like when you were first signed into like a Bruce Honda or like a third tier team, you're still getting a paycheck though, right?
Yeah. It was, my first one was 75K.
What?
Yeah.
16 years old in
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
75K.
Which around here,
And
that's
then
a
it
lot.
had bonus money too, but I never sniffed into that, you know. So I couldn't even tell you what that was. I didn't even look. I didn't waste my time.
What place were you finishing when you were on those third early on?
I could get top 5 and was super stock 750, but nobody was really it was really thinned out. But I think my first super sport race I got like 14th, and then I just tried to get in the top 10, and then I got in the top 10, and then I was like, man, I wonder if I can get in the top 5. And my last year at Honda, actually at Arian Honda, I think, which was one of my best races, is because me and Yates went all the way to the last lap in a super sport race. You know what I mean? Like, I come from nowhere, and then all of a sudden, this kid's leading mid-Ohio, and almost, dude, I came out of turn 1 in the rear end, stepped out, and I was like just ghost riding down to the Keogh, and I ended up like 7th. But it was like, when I came back to the pits, like Nicky was like at my pit, he's like, dude, where did that come from? You know, and so I could have some good races, but that was probably my best one. But yeah, it was like 75 when I was, and then you would have bonus, and you know, but I never got into that.
That's crazy.
But that's enough for, you know, if you're a dad at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's enough for you to go, okay, well, we'll work on this. You know, we'll put the house up for a mortgage or
Yeah,
something.
so they were usually for the C team 50, 75.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it too, obviously. But that funding was coming from the factory.
Factory,
That wasn't
yeah.
coming from the team.
No,
right?
it was the factory.
Was there? You said that you got moved up in the middle of Cali. Was that like a thing? People to get moved around?
No.
Oh, okay. Like the Suzuki wouldn't control the entire and
No,
go, hey.
usually it would have been like at the end of the year.
Okay.
You know, they would bump you up, but this was after the first test. So it was, dude, it's wild when you come from these other teams and then you get on a factory ride and then you're like, you go to the shop, there's 12 full-time employees just working on your bike day and night till the next race. And, you know, how's your foot peg? And, you know, I mean, they'll make it stronger. We can do this. We'll make it sharper. We can angle it like this. Or how's your bars? We can bend the angle. Like, they can do just custom basically your bike. And I'm just like, you know, like just kind of blown away at first.
Yeah, it is definitely a difference. I mean, I think you got to experience that with Harley being a factory guy, and then even this year, like building the arch.
Yeah.
We were building the bike from the ground up, so being able to do that stuff. But you kind of get, you know, if you're not used to that, it's almost overwhelming too.
Yeah.
though, 'cause
Super overwhelming. Like, cause you're like, I don't know.
Yeah,
you know,
it was over, and that's why whenever I first did on the factory team, I was like, I didn't want to change nothing on the bike. I didn't want to be, you know, you hear about people who complain all the time, and I didn't want to be one of those guys. And then so I was just like, I wanted to be easy to deal with, and then like to your point, you start to figure that out. You get that confidence, and they start getting confidence in you. You know, both of you've been there. You know when you first go to a team and you love going to the races, like you just cannot wait to see your guys, and that's what I got when I went to Cali the first time.
factory?
Yeah,
or?
the factory.
Okay.
Not the first time, but in 04, where I love my guys. My mechanics would sleep next to the bike if it meant we'd go a 10th quicker.
Yeah.
And just like before that, I never had that. And again, that was some of my own doing. But I didn't just love going to the track. You know, it wasn't, you know, I would try hard, but I didn't put in the effort in between to get that feeling. When I went to Cowie, I mean, I had that. And I was like, okay, this is,
Did you realize it at the time that you had it, or was it not till like after when you left that you realized it?
that I loved the team or that I didn't have that?
Just that whole feeling, because I know what you're talking about, but I feel like a lot of times until you have the perspective of not having it,
Yeah.
you know, because like,
Well, so I didn't have it, and then I did. And then fast forward to the end of 06, I get offered to Cowie's not doing Superbike, and they weren't going to do it the next year either. And I got a Yo Superbike ride offer. And I went back to Cowie and I said, hey, you know, if you go Superbike next year, we can work something out, but I'm definitely going to go Superbike, one way or the other. And they said, okay, we'll go Superbike racing. But then I had that moment of, God, I love my team. Do I want to switch? Do I want to take the chance of going back and dreading the race weekend? And I never heard any bad things about Yost, but the insecurities came back in like, dude, I'm happy where I'm at. I love my guys. They love me. Do I want to risk going back? And honestly felt loyal to Kawasaki because, like I said, I had no ride. They're the last. We wouldn't be doing this interview right now if it wasn't for Kawasaki. And so I was like, I want to be loyal. And then, you can always look back, but, that might be, if I did look back, there's probably one thing I probably should have went to the Yost bike. Because, Kawasaki tried, but Superbike just, it wasn't it.
And that year would have put you, what, teammates with Matt?
Matt and I think Bid.
Oh.
So
They would have run 3 bikes?
yeah.
Oh, wow. Dude,
I think maybe they already had 3 bikes.
could you imagine the different shape of
Yeah.
everything?
Yates was there at that point, right? That would have been, yeah. Wow.
Interesting. So lifeline for Yates.
I
A
don't know.
little bit.
Yeah. I think it's interesting you say that about the team thing, though, because I feel like that's, at least for me, and I don't know if James feels that, but there's been moments where it's like you wish you could just press pause on like what you've got,
Yeah.
like on a race weekend, or
Yeah.
even like, because even you come back the next year and you're like, well, last year, I did this time when I was on pole or I won the race. And it's
Yeah.
like, how do I get that back when you're having a tough weekend? It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, racing is such a
It's a feeling, dude.
Yeah.
feeling, but
And
it
you-
takes so many pieces and everything's got to kind of line up, and it's like this perfect storm
Yeah.
almost when things are going really good.
But it's like an unquantifiable feeling that you search in a dark, like in a black hole for.
That's why I tell you, some days when I see that with riders and their teams and they're having fun and they're winning, I'm like, God, I miss that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, on the flip side of that, I see teams where they're saying stuff about the rider and they're struggling and he's crashing all the time. And I'm just like,
Damn, you talking about my 24 season, dude?
dude, I don't miss that at all. Like, that is just
Yeah.
the more people don't realize with road racing and racing in general, when you leave the track on Sunday, if you're struggling or not having fun, it doesn't stay at the track.
No.
It bleeds over to your personal life, your everyday life, your relationships, just because you're trying so hard to get that one dream. It's not like you just leave the weekend and it goes away. Like, dude, it haunts you the whole week, month, year.
No, it does. It's especially when you, like I said, when you're comparing it to like, I know for me last year, we were a lot more competitive than we were this year. So every weekend leaving the track, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And
Yeah.
then, you have like the 3 weeks off or whatever. And the whole time you're thinking, well, this next one's going to be good. If I can just do what I did last year, and then you show up and it's again, the same thing or whatever the case is. But it definitely goes back to that feeling of like, well, what changed? Like,
Yeah.
what am I missing from that perfect storm? So it's funny you touched on that.
Yeah, you start searching
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
And then when you start searching, sometimes you're going down dark alleys.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Big
mean?
time.
Sometimes there's something scary down that dark alley, and
Yeah.
you end up worse.
Yeah, and it's easy to do too. I think it was Jersey. I had someone come out that had never been to a race, so you start telling them kind of a little bit about what you do with the bike. And, at the time the guys are moving the forks up, it's like changing like, 3 mil or
Yeah.
something ride height on the front. And they're like, well, what are they doing? I'm like, well, we move the forks a couple millimeters. And they're like, what do you mean a couple millimeters? I'm like, well, you go 5 millimeters. That's a big change.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean 5 millimeters? It's like,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you start thinking about all the variables of that
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. It's like,
Especially now.
yeah.
Dude, yeah,
Dude.
especially, just-
Electronics,
oh.
and all of it. It's insane.
or you have like one bad clutch that just masks everything, or you have the wrong stack height, and it's like, dude, it's
a lot.
It's crazy. You look for some sort of consistency, but I think we should do a little Law Tigers tech tip while we're here.
Yeah, while we're in it. Raj, we do a segment, I think we warmed you up on it, but we do the Law Tigers tech tip. Law Tigers are America's motorcycle lawyers. Jimmy, you got it?
Yes, if you or somebody that's been injured in a motorcycle accident, always call Law Tigers first. Their services are no cost to the riders, and they fight to get riders taken care of and back on the road. With Law Tigers, you never ride alone.
Yep.
1-800 Law Tigers.
Tech tip. What it could be anything. I mean, what do you think? How about this? When you were working with Josh, what was kind of one of the biggest things you honed in on with him that you felt like made a big change in his riding?
I think the big thing was some lines in certain places, and then also a big thing is overriding. It's just people, you don't realize it. Sometimes you're pushing so hard and you're just making a mistake. Then you make a mistake to make up for it. So sometimes I think the big thing is, when you're watching somebody, just, hey, bring it down a little bit. And then, y'all been there, you can pick it back up. I think it's the big thing. When you're forcing it too hard, you can start making a lot of mistakes.
What about, I think I recall back listening to you, I don't know if it was on the booth or something, but it sounded like one of the things you also worked on was getting up to speed quickly.
Yeah. And he was able to do that, like go out the very first practice. And that's huge, I think, just going out, and it just sets your weekend where you're not on the back foot, man. It is hard, especially how competitive it is now in all y'all's classes. Like, you can't spend a weekend on the back foot, and then by the time you figure it out, you're headed to the airport. So the big thing is, who was so good at that when I raced was Josh Hayes. Dude, unbelievable. And we would just I would spend the whole weekend, like, chasing him. And then, I'd get there at the end of race 2, and it's too late. And then it's like something you learn, I feel like. And, toward the end of my career, I got really good at it. But Josh was able to do that, and I think that's why, there's a lot of reasons why he was so strong, but he was able to get up to speed just like that.
Well, and if you can do the one, then you can work on other stuff.
Yeah.
I remember there was some races, like even like I want to think of like Infineon one year where he was like just like 1.8 seconds faster on like 5 minutes. 5 minutes in, literally like few tenths off the lap record, and it was like, dude, it took everybody they're just throwing tires.
Yeah,
It puts everyone in the spot where mentally you're just like, it's going to be a long weekend.
Yeah, and you put pressure on yourself, and then you're like
crash or something.
Crashing, and then you're going down trying to figure out, because you don't want to set the bike up 2 seconds off the pace anyways.
Yeah, you got to push for it. Well, that's our Law Tigers tip. Thank you. Thanks, Raj, for that.
Raj, you were talking on something I've thought about. We've talked about with a few different of our guests. Do you feel like one of the differences between that era where you're saying, guys were riding in multiple classes and so on, there was only so many, I guess, stars of the sport, right? And because they're riding multiple classes, you kind of got to follow them a little bit more, and there's a little bit more, you could build them up a little bit more because they were doing multiple things. You got to watch them multiple times on the weekend. Whereas now you've got, 8 classes?
Yeah.
And each one of those classes, you've got a star or a few stars, right, that you're trying to follow and so on. Do you think that, one, there's too many classes or too much of a highlight on too many classes? And then second with that is, does it make it hard to figure out who the stars of the sport are?
Yeah, I think it makes it a little bit hard when there's so many classes, where I think, and this is the hard part, if you could get all the big boys in one class, you know what I mean? And then, God, because every field is deep. And but imagine if they were all in one. And I don't even know how you go about, doing that. But, yeah, if you could get all the big boys, and just think, just in a dream scenario, you combine SuperSport and Superbike. You're talking about 10, 12 guys that could win any given weekend. And I feel like it's getting there because the classes are getting deeper. But that was one thing then. There was so many, good riders and so many classes, but not as many as there is now. Now, Twins Cup and I know Stock 1000 now is going to go with the Superbikes, and I think that's going to be a big improvement because Stock 1000 boys, they were getting it this year, and you think about they're going to throw, get a couple more parts on it, and they're going to, the 5th place, the Orange Cap boy you got at New Jersey, Jason Uribe. That's an impressive performance for week 1.
Yeah, also Beach, 3rd at Mid-Ohio.
Ashton put it on the front row.
Yeah.
Dude. I think that bike was stock, right?
Yeah.
I think that wasn't even that didn't have any of the swing arm or anything cool on it.
But that's one of the testament how good stock bikes are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. I think that BMW is a weapon. But do you think that there's something to be said for that though? Is like I don't know. We spend a lot of time talking about stuff like this as far as like how do we bring back like people like your brother or yourself, or like these bigger than life like stars almost. Like it feels like our sport's missing that a little bit, and you got opportunities with it. Like you got Blake coming up, right, or DeMario coming up, and obviously Kayla's a star because she's Kayla and she's amazing. But how do we get that back a little bit to where you have that star power where people are really like enamored and diehard about those particular racers?
Well, one thing too now, some things can get too corporate where, you got to like walk a fine line. You don't like really get to show your personality. And you would think like right now would be the time for somebody to become like with social media and all that. And I think Haydens did a good job at it. Of anybody, and it does make a huge difference where you kind of make a guy and you build him up like Josh, and he does a good job. It's just that's just a tough formula to figure out. How do you make so many stars where it does bring people to the sport? And I think now with more riders, more teams, more kids moving up, I think it's more of a opportunity for that, because we get a lot of young riders starting to you talk about Blake, DeMario. There's some other kids now in the Talent Cup. I think it's what you need where fans follow them. Like in the NFL, people follow them from the college. And, boy, did you see so-and-so when he was in college? And then they follow him to the NFL. And I think that's what we need. We need them to follow him from Supersport and then in Superbike.
Yeah, I mean, you see like the rivalries, Blake Davis, Kayla.
Yeah.
Hank Vosberg.
Yep.
Those DeMario, they're starting to get those rivalries back into the same classes.
And that's the big thing, too, is that right there. Yeah. Like, when somebody hates when somebody else beats them.
Yeah.
Like, just mad, terrible interview. And when they're out there racing, they're going for blood.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like the end of the year, you couldn't have asked for a crazier finish from Superbike with Fong, Heron, and Cam. And I felt like Cam was the most chill out of everybody.
Yeah.
Ended up taking it, Fonger with the freaking dude. To be honest, though, but
what do you think on that? What was your take on that?
Motion, baby.
Well,
do you like to see it?
Hold on. Did he breathe?
Did he what?
Did Heron breathe?
I don't know. That's a tough spot.
Hey.
I think it's a weird spot to let up there, but I don't know. I really hate sometimes saying that. Like whenever I feel like somebody did something, and then it's like, it's easy to see on where you're at. I think if Josh was going to do something like that, it'd been like turn 5.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't think he would have did it to like knock him down, but where he had to chop it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where he couldn't get the run through there. I think, when you're watching that race, Bobby was kind of straight lining that. And, it's almost like, I don't know if he was going to think about maybe making a pass and, then didn't make it, but just a mistake. I mean, you feel bad. You feel bad for Bobby just because of the year he had and what a comeback story he's had and then just kind of mistakes at the worst time.
Yeah. Would you just sat there and chilled that race? It's hard to say, but
it's hard to say because when people get in a battle like that and they win the title and we praise them, they said they were going to do what they did all year and they went out and did it and. And then somebody goes out like Bobby and does what he did all year, makes a mistake, and then we're like, hey, should have just followed. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's been so many riders win titles and been in the fight, and you're like, what are you fighting so hard for? All you got to do is get 4th or 5th today. So I think Bobby was really just trying to do what he'd been doing all year, do what got him there.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been sick if it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you do feel before him a little bit, and you feel, but sometimes that's the way the cards play, and sometimes that's, rejection. It plants the biggest seed for success.
Tough sport, man. It's demoralizing.
Yeah, that's talk about tough between races. Talk about a tough off season, huh? But how about, to have a triple header on the last race weekend of the championship, kind of makes you feel like that needs to be a thing every year.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It had so much excitement. Even if you could do something else, like like a double point.
Yeah.
Just for whatever, like they do in Supercross sometimes, like race 2's double, or worth more. I mean, I probably can't do that, but just think about how fun that would be, when you watch some of these Supercross and other, racing series, and the second one's double points, and it's like really big. So if they could even do the 3 races, but then also maybe throw something else in there too.
Yeah.
You think like a money, something to do with money? They
Yeah,
could throw
anything.
in there, like even middle of the season, like
Yeah.
something more along like Supercross. Like how cool would it be if we could find like a partner where we could do a, like they do at BSB, like the Monster Award for the weekend, overall 3 races.
When Nicky was in Superbike, they had like a 3-race series middle of the season that Chevy gave away a brand new truck.
Oh, no
Yeah,
way.
that's sick.
And it was
a
just
triple
like,
crown.
yeah, it was like a triple crown, just a couple of races that they highlighted through the year. And, and he got it and got the truck.
How about this? BSB did something which I think would be a little bit too easy here with some of our grids being super stock and stuff. But they did if you qualified on the front row, or I believe it was front row or pole, if you started from the back of the grid and won, it was a $50,000 check.
Wow. Like an insurance.
Dude.
Probably do like an insurance policy on that or something. Talk about gambling.
How nuts is that?
Especially at BSB because there's so many riders.
I know top 10s have second.
Yeah.
Dude. Could you imagine?
Did you think if it was in our series, Josh was on 4th row at New Jersey and was like leading down into turn 1?
That's what I'm saying. You couldn't really do it. Like, I think it'd be too.
Now you might be able to, though. Now with the
super soft.
Yeah.
Talking more on that, because that's been a controversial topic. Just what's your opinion on that whole thing with the Superbike Cup, Superbike split, not split? Like, do you think it's good that Stock 1000 is going away?
I definitely think they need more bikes in Superbike.
Yeah, that's no doubt.
Just and however you do that, I'm not sure how. I mean, it's obviously setting back easy, just saying go to Superbike, but I mean, it costs a lot of money. But sometimes on some of these race weekends, there's 6 Superbike riders on pit lane. We got 4 bikes on track. Because the stock ones ain't out there yet. So now, and I think it's going to open the door for more teams, because it used to be, you can't run with the factories. You know what I mean? You're going to fail. There's no way. Where now they're going to start seeing teams come in and making this switch. And but you know what? We can go buy the parts now. You used to, you think about it. Back in the day, you couldn't go buy factory parts. I mean, now you can call the factory and say, hey, build me a bike and have it sent. And you might have to have a technician come as well. But now you can get the parts, whatever, just about anything you want, you can go get. And I think people's going to see that now with more bikes in the class all weekend. And I think it's going to help the riders as well, being in practice, being in qualifying, not just seeing them during a race.
Yeah, you learn a lot being around.
Yeah.
Just being around faster guys.
Yeah, and I think with the like we talked about, the stock bikes being so close with electronics now, and you know what I mean? Like, okay, that swing arm doesn't necessarily make that much of a difference when you throw in an 8 rear at it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, a little bit, but you can see are certain tracks where it's not that much of a difference.
And Corey, you know how when you're in stock 1000 and you're like only a second and a half the Superbike guys, or 2 seconds, and you're just like, okay, I'm going to get brakes. There's a couple tenths. I'm going to get this swing arm. That's a couple tenths. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get more electronics. There's the time right there, and then you get all those bells and whistles, and you go out there and you're still a second and a half off, and you're like, dude, I got all the new parts. I guess it's supposed to be easy. So to your point with the stock bike, new parts don't always mean quicker lap time.
We saw it with Hayden and JD.
Yeah.
Right? Like being locked in a box, optimizing that box versus having, a bigger box to play in. You could see like, there's always something to tweak, and you saw several races where, like Hayden would struggle a little bit more than JD, and I would assume just because JD can do this.
Yeah,
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. No, I think even Supersport this year, you saw, it made it difficult at times to try to figure out, what you had to do. I think the hard part too is also, just as much as it's hard for riders to find rides, it's hard for riders to find good mechanics and people who know how to use all that stuff. That's the really hard part.
That is the hard part, is finding really good mechanics. I mean, because, honestly, if you don't have a good, you could give us 3 a MotoGP bike to come here and race against the SuperSport guys at New Jersey, we're going to get smoked because we're not even going to get that thing started. You know, we're not even going to know where to begin. So you have to have those smart guys. And, you know, that's why you see so many people now want to take their mechanics with them, and because they find good mechanics. And that's the hard part, because you're only as good as your crew. And it really is huge in the sport right now, because you can't have bike issues. We talked about starting out slow on Friday or missing a session. It's hard to find that good crew. And then when you find a good one, these teams know who's a good mechanic over there, and then they come down there and, like I would, poach them away.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I've been wondering as well, just because we're looking for mechanics and stuff like that. Always, like, how do we get people, you know, back into that side of it too? You know, like when you were at Jordan, you had the MMI thing, which was like a really cool program, and I've thought a lot about that. Like, how do we develop a program like that where we can bring some people in and kind of show them? And I think there's a little bit more money, you know, to be made than there was for a little while there. Like, you can actually make a, you know, small living working on bikes nowadays.
I think that's the thing too, though, is you gotta be able to make a living.
Yeah.
You know, that's the big thing. People, you know, they might not be able to do a part-time job. And, you know, it used to be mechanics would start. We talked about those C teams and B teams. And some of those mechanics would finally start working their way up too. But I'm with you. The crew is just, I don't think some people realize the difference that it makes. I mean, it is just, it's incredible the difference between having a good crew and an average crew.
Well, I mean, I can firsthand tell you when you have to rebuild a bagger from morning warm-up 3-4 times a year. Like, if you don't have a crew that you can go out, like, I've had some of my best performances in races with a brand new bike, essentially rebuilt from the ground up. And
is that why you keep crashing them, Jimmy? Or what?
I mean,
did your mechanics, did they have to get new tools because they were wore out?
Dude, I'm telling you, but dude, like, seriously, talking about a crew and being safe.
Yeah.
Like, having the confidence to go out and pull the front brake lever on the warm-up lap and go down to the same brake markers to just clear your head. You know, that's something that not a lot of people
you take it for granted too.
Yeah.
Dude, it's, our life is on the line, and when you have a good crew that knows how to do things in a timely fashion, you know, they do not get enough respect on, especially the late nights. I mean, your crew works easily triple the amount of hours.
Yes.
And, like, they're constantly working and optimizing for you to go in a 30-minute session and either perform or fucking wad.
Yeah.
And then do it all again.
And you get that same feeling too during practice and qualifying when you come in from a crash and you see 4 dudes just thrashing on your bike and they're trying to get you out, and there's like 5 minutes left, and you're just like, dude, I hope they were all on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a mental thing I think people also don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, because it is.
And having the crew, that's where you know, you've had good crews. There's some guys I've went out and I'm like, oh God, I hope everything. And there's other times I've been out and, you know, I'd have bet my life on it that nothing was going to happen.
Yeah. And because if it happens once, man, it's, it haunts you for life, you know? But Roger, I wanted to kind of bounce back again, because there's some things, I remember some stories coming up when you guys were racing as kids, and you were in like vans as a three kids with Earl or whoever, and like before you even had license driving to races and things that, like, how true are some of those stories? And like, I kind of want to get back into, you know, Sunset Downs and that, because I don't feel like we've really told enough of that story.
Well, I think for sure my dad would have us set in his lap, you know. And then one time my dad always tells a story that Nicky was driving and he was like taking a nap, and then, you know, Nicky pulled over to switch, and then the cop pulled him over. Nicky almost rear-ended the cop. So this cop's up there just, you know, reaming my dad, and he couldn't say, you know, it's my kid was driving, you know, so he just had to sit there and take it. So there was not like on the road like by ourselves, but yeah, we used to sit in his lap, you know, because we would race and then drive 12 hours at night to another one, and he just would sit in his lap and show you how the cruise control works, and, you know, just try to do what you could. But we had this box fan, and there were so many of us. Like, we have a picture somewhere. where we got bikes stacked on top of each other.
No way.
Yeah.
Like actually on top?
On top of each other on the sides because we just didn't have enough space. Because big thing about my dad was he wanted to go to outlaw races, and that way you can run every class. You get your bang for your buck.
What was an outlaw race? Because a lot of people probably don't know what that is.
Well, it doesn't have like the AMA restrictions. So like, an AMA race, you can only ride an 80 for a certain age and then 60 and the same thing that an outlaw race is run what you brung. I mean, you can be 14 and race against the pros.
Yeah.
And it's cool too because it gives you that opportunity. And you could let's say you took your 80 somewhere or your 60 and you wanted to race up a class. Just because you were there and you get more track time, maybe, oh, yeah, go ahead. I mean, you have to pay for the entry, but you could ride your 60 in the 80 class. If you were a kid, you could do like open amateur and then race against the pros as well.
So they just let you, they kind of let you do. Now, when you were racing like that, how was it? How were you funding it all? Like back then, was it just Earl's pocket? Or were you making money as a kid?
No, not as a kid. Not
Okay.
like Supercross, motocross. No, it was just my parents did what they could to come by. My dad started a car lot. We had a bunch of apartments, and my parents just sacrificed a lot, And then, Nicky helped out toward the, later on and helped my parents when he was like 25 or whatever, but not a lot. But for the most part, my dad, and that's a hard part for him. I mean, he'd be gone all week working, getting time to get in the box van to drive to Texas because that's where CMRA was, race Saturday, Sunday, drive all the way back home so we could make it to school, and then he could go check his apartments. He had horse racing, and he was just whatever it took, dude.
So Earl was just a hustler?
Yeah, whatever it took, he did.
Wow. And
What was your family background? I know you said you had like some uncles that did farm work, but that's not what Earl was never into that.
No, he was never into that. He always had like rental property, and he was big into racehorses at one time.
like owning them?
Yeah, and that's why this place is called Sunset Downs, because horses came here and trained, and they wanted a name for it. My dad loved sunsets.
Did he actually train them, or he just was the guy kind of moving the pieces?
Kind of moving the pieces more than that.
Wow.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, what did he do before all that? Before
I think that's just the
he just
he was just always doing something. He was really smart.
Oh,
and
wow.
he did whatever it took. I mean, there was times too though, like I remember when we were kids, one time our roof was leaking. Like a big leak, and Daytona was coming up. And my parents were like, are we doing the roof or are we going to Daytona? And my dad goes out and gets a 5-gallon bucket. And hope this is enough. And we went to Daytona. And my mom was like totally on board. But yeah, there was one time they had to make it because you used to go to Daytona for a whole week.
Yeah.
For amateur flat tracks. And we had a big hole in the roof, and they had to figure out which one they were going to spend the money on.
How did your mom, I guess first, how did your mom and your dad meet? Mom also from Owensboro?
Yeah, she's from Owensboro. I'm not really sure how they meet. You hear so many. My dad would tell so many stories. But yeah, she's from Owensboro too. And I mean, they've been together forever because, I mean, you hear stories from, when they were super young. But my mom is here. She had 11 brothers and sisters, and they were farmers. Wow. And so my mom had like a huge work ethic as well on anything. I mean, she said when we were like 14, we wasn't racing. She sent us to the farm, dude. And that wasn't it.
That made you appreciate racing.
That was tough. And I remember when I was still in high school, when they canceled the radio, your school. You hear it on the radio, and we got some snow, and I'm just like, come on, Davis County Public, Davis County. And I hear it. I'm like, I roll over, and I'm about to saw off a couple more hours. My mom yells up, Uncle Ricky will be here in 10 minutes. I was just like, no.
And what were you doing?
I was going to go back to sleep. I was out of school. So I went with him, and we cleaned out a bunch of tobacco barns all day.
That's what they did, tobacco farm?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not so much tobacco now, but now like soybeans, a little bit of tobacco, corn, tomatoes, watermelons. It's kind kind of made it back this way.
Yeah, because early tobacco must have been big.
Big here. Used to like strip tobacco. Used to get in the line and 3 different parts, and you had to make a bale, and it was.
So you knew how to do all that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, like the top, the middle, and the bottom.
Do you ever smoke tobacco ever?
No.
Yeah, interesting.
And then you take it to the warehouse or whatever. It's not like I said, tobacco's not as big, but it was. You just sat there all day and like an assembly line and just down the next one.
Wow, that's crazy. So when you guys come back and would be in school, how often were you guys riding here? Like when did the track become something here?
We always because it's not like it's hard to put a track in. You just need a box scraper. So my uncles are farmers, and they would come over with the box scraper and just cut something out, and that's all it. So we had tracks when we were like just little flat tracks or a little figure 8, but just out here in the yard.
How often were you riding?
All the time.
Every day?
Every day.
And there's some famous stories.
And sometimes like Nicky, you'd have to peel him off the bike.
That's what they say.
Yeah. You would be like, my mom would be like, dude, you got to take a shower, brush your teeth, you got school tomorrow. And he would like go right over here in our neighbor's property so they couldn't find him, but you could still hear him. You know what I mean? Like, you knew where he's at, but he'd run it out. It didn't matter. Even when he was racing MotoGP, he used to have this little track set up here on the driveway on the XR100 just all day. Up over here by the shop. He up down toward the end by the mailbox. And everybody knew if you came and Nicky was riding, just walk through the grass because he wasn't, he wasn't stopping.
That's crazy.
And your mom just was along for it all along. From the beginning.
She was always right there. And it's tough too when you got kids and riding bikes. You got 4 or 5 of them. Sometimes you got to go to the hospital and you're trying to get your story straight on the on the way because they're worried that, especially this day and time, they definitely probably. But didn't we just see you in here last week? You know,
they know you by first name down there.
Yeah, just like Stitches and.
So, did you guys ever have a track that was like kind of stable, and then because we've seen in recent years, especially
right out here, we had the
TT,
the TT,
because you get very small glimpses when Nicky would post, and then Jake, obviously was riding here a lot.
So we had a short track over here, and then off one side was like a little TT, and off the other side, and again it was just. The same thing. It was just coming in with the, box scrape. Whenever we were doing the Springfield TT, I told you my dad. He doesn't cut no corners. He got the measurements.
Did he?
Yeah, and it got put in right out here.
Is that why? And before you guys raced it, you guys were just
not like complete. Like there's some stuff different, but there was like a dog leg and or maybe it was from the year before. But I just know it was out here.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And is it true that your dad would sit out there with a stopwatch?
Oh yeah.
Like piece of paper?
Yeah.
Well, he even walked around with a stopwatch when you guys were road racing.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I said before, he wasn't like, hard. He just, just competitive, and it didn't matter how hot it was, how sick he was, how deep his cancer was. He's out there, and we used to have this thing where, because, you had to put in your laps. You couldn't do one lap. And that was really rule number 1. It ain't one lap and come check the lap times.
Okay.
So, you had to get a couple laps. So thumbs up meant your personal best. 2 thumbs up was the best of the day. So.
That's what you're going for always.
Yeah. And the thing is, when somebody does lap times, it just kind of makes you always want to come over and see where you're at. And then we used to do because we grew up flat tracking, so everything was like a 25-lap national.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we'd have flags and lights. And, my dad, had the car lot make a starter with the green lights.
No way.
You know what I mean? Like, on a little thing you'd pull by. It was janky, but, we'd sit out there all day and practice starts. Nicky was going, funny story, we talked about how competitive he was, but it was like, I think the first year he was graduating, but he was kind of hanging out with a girl that was a year younger, and they were going to prom. him and another buddy, and a couple of them were going to prom. And Nicky done left. He had to stop eventually riding, and Tommy was still out there, and Tommy broke the track record. And the first thing my dad said was, nobody tell Nicky he's not going to leave that poor girl at prom. Because he said if Nicky was to find out, he's coming back, turning the lights on. And he's serious, too. He said, nobody call Nicky or tell nobody, tell tomorrow. He's not going to do that to that poor girl.
So did you have lights that you rode at night?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, we rode 10, 12 hours. You know, it wasn't
but dude.
But, yeah, 4 hours a day probably.
Still,
every day.
Yeah.
I mean, you start, compounding that over.
Yeah. But it's easier, too, when you get brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get somebody to ride with.
Yeah, if you're sitting out there by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, but honestly, sometimes they'll ride with Nicky's demoralizing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like doing stuff on the bike, and you're just like, what? How do you do that?
What is the lap record?
I don't know. We got it on the board over there, I think, on the door. It used to be on the door in the shop.
So we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Still Nicky.
Yeah. And now the Essence and team still does like a turn track down there, and they still do the stopwatch thing.
So they've kind of lived it on a little bit.
A little bit. And then again, the turn track is, my uncle's plant beans down there, and we just go down with the box scraper and just cut a motocross track.
Yeah.
So it's not.
You ride at all anymore?
No.
You don't?
Some people are like, you got a track at your house? And I'm like, dude, you just need a box. It's dirt.
Yeah.
You don't need, it's not a road race course.
Yeah, well, down here I think you can get away with it a little bit easier too.
Sound too.
If I cut a track in my backyard.
Yeah, we used to have a neighbor across the street too.
You ran him off?
They finally sold, and they were a little rough. I can promise you they wasn't wanting to hear 450s at 7 a.m. on Saturday, 8 a.m. on Saturday. I can promise you that. But they never said a word.
Really?
Never.
Really?
Yep. And then the neighbor before my house, they never said a word.
Do you have any desire to get back on a bike? I know you've done a couple little
I haven't, but I haven't. The Ducati thing's fun just to get out there and ride a little bit. But I haven't been gone long enough where the ego has been completely, it's deflated. But there's still like a little air left in it where it's been so long, I'm going to suck so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This kid on a Yamaha 80, I'm going to be holding him up. You know what I mean? He's going to be back here revving his bike up. So I'm just like, maybe I need like a couple more years to just really be able to accept the fact, you suck now.
Do you think it goes away?
No.
I don't think so
I
either.
don't think it goes away. I think it doesn't go away. You just care less because you just want to go ride.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm waiting to hear that Ben's doing a Superbike wild card next year on the Rahal bike,
Some people it goes way better than others, I will say that. Some people have trouble.
Yeah, I
don't think the speed would ever be an issue. Like a one lap. Maybe it would, but I feel like everybody still has that. Like you figure
you still have it.
It's more the length and the risk that you
and out of shape.
Because you just don't have the.
I did that Ducati day Monday after Coda. I almost couldn't get out of bed the next day. I was so sore. You know what I mean? I was literally that sore. I was hurt, my back, and I'm just cruising around with people. And what catches me off guard too, how fast those bikes are stock. Down that back straightaway at Coda, I remember the first lap, I was like, dang man, this is a little bit, it took me a couple of laps to hold that thing wide open.
They are. The stock bikes now, you see it when they do that thing in Europe with the Ducatis. All the GP guys get on them, the times they can do on them, it's unreal.
It's ridiculous.
And then one of the guys at Ducati's like, you want race mode or this mode? And I'm just like, dude, I don't want any mode.
Just chill.
Did you guys ever get any tussles?
Never.
Really?
Yeah. Never any. If we played basketball or something or another sport, then we it would, get into it and argue. But never on the motorcycle. It was never I beat you last week. Never. I don't know. It's kind of weird though. It's just never. That never happened.
Did you guys ever clean each other out? Like, were you ever riding that hard against each other?
Yeah,
or-
well, Tommy and Nicky went through a SuperSport title together, and then me and Tommy went through a couple as well. So never like took each other out, but there's like
You've never been in the ground with your brothers?
no. But there was times where you know how it is where you make it past sometimes, and you're like, you know, I hope. But I
Hope
mean,
he's
when
all
me and
right.
Tommy was teammates, you know, if he took me down, it would have been team manager and mom and dad too. You know what I mean? You know, not the baby.
Even in the backyard, though, riding flat track.
Never like.
Really?
Yeah, just never really. I mean, I think we just kind of let, or for those two, they let the lap times talk.
Yeah.
You know.
And do you think maybe like you see the Alden Baker, you know, phenomena where they have like 2 or 3 guys that are together, that they kind of are similar or whatever, and they work together and essentially they push each other. Do you think you guys maybe uncovered that like without knowing? Just being 3
Yeah.
brothers and being able, having access to being able to ride. You didn't have the structure like Alden Baker until you were, you know, Kawasaki. But I mean, what I'm hearing is you guys were 3 super pretty in sync brothers.
Yeah.
And just pushed each other competitively.
And even though we didn't have scuffles, like, you know, there's plenty of days a couple of us left mad,
Yeah.
you know, and just pulled out. You know what I mean? Like, but not like, you know, arguing or anything like that. So, but I think it definitely shows and it definitely helps. And I mean, even for me personally, when I was toward the end of the Jordan, and then when I went to Yosh, like Nicky was not living in Europe, but he was gone all the time. Tommy was retired, and I'm riding by myself, and I'm just like, you know, like, damn, I've only been out here 20 minutes, and I was just bored, like just cruising around, doing more wheelies than anything. And then I started riding with JD, and then Jake Lewis started coming back,
And it was just
and then it was like just like the old days, like just a battle. And it makes a huge difference. Like it really does, because you're all competitive. It doesn't matter what it is, bicycle, you know, turn track, flat track. Like it makes a huge difference whenever you're not out there by yourself, just because you always feel like there's no way anybody can go faster than that. I mean, even on like a qualifying lap, you know, and then Bobier smashes it like by a second. You're like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it helps when you have somebody else to battle.
yeah, and to see it,
Yeah.
and to go, it's possible.
Yeah.
What do you think it was about Nicky? Everyone talks about that, like you said it, like that stuff he was able to do. Was it just natural?
It was just
raw?
natural. It was just natural. And I mean, he just knew what he wanted to do from he was, I mean, a kid. We used to share a bedroom over here on his ceiling here when we were in high school. It was 500 then. I will be 500cc world champion. And like, I mean, literally we're in elementary school, middle school, and he wrote it on the ceiling and stared at it when he went to bed every night. Not only what's tough about Nicky was he had so much talent, but he had so much work ethic too. You know what I mean? And that is a deadly combination, and he had it. It didn't matter. I mean, when we share a house in the winter in California, he'd come home from Malaysia testing, you know, the 3 days. Everybody talked about how hard it was. I'd hear him go up the steps, and I'd hear him come back down running or taking off on his bicycle. Like, just incredible work ethic and desire. Well, just whatever it took. I mean, he lived here, up above here where we're at, till he was almost 30. And I was like, Nicky, everything but, you know, you want to branch out from mom and dad a little bit, get your own house? And he looked at me and said, I don't have to worry about getting the mail. I don't care when the grass gets cut. I don't do my laundry. You know what I focus on? Just going faster. And I like it. Like, that's a good point. He didn't have to worry about getting the mail. He'd drop his laundry off there. And, yeah, that's just the way he was. He wanted to know. I mean, eventually he got his house, but he just wanted to know. Most kids just can't wait to get their own place. This is as far as he went because he wanted no distractions.
Did you guys ever talk about, like, you know, slowing down? Like, do you think he ever...
I was just gonna ask you, do you think he would have retired?
I think he would have because his body was giving out. I think if his body wasn't, like his wrist was destroyed, and I mean, he was miserable. Like
he had no movement.
I think if it wasn't from that, I don't know. I mean, it would have maybe a couple more rough years, but I mean, you think about all the success he had, and then he goes to the World Superbike, and that bike wasn't any good. And
then he won the one race.
And then we're like in California, and he's like icing this, and then got a red laser on this. Then we go riding train. He's going to San Diego to get these injections in his wrist, driving another hour and a half home, catching the night work. I mean, it was just like, dude, like, so that's a lot of work for somebody that's accomplished what you've accomplished to go get on a bike where you're probably not going to win unless it's wet.
Yeah. Was it hard to see?
Yeah.
Watch that?
Yeah. It was hard just to, because you think about it, like you're just sitting there and he's got this brace on, he's got that brace on, and he's going here and it didn't work, and he's finding another, kind of like this, almost the same thing KMP had with his wrist. Like the scaphoid's gone.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't even exist. So he was going to San Diego, was supposed to be the best wrist doctor. Yeah, it's tough to watch because you know how bad he wants it. And a lot of that too with his body is probably because he rode 10 hours a day from when he was 10 years old. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, just nonstop.
Do you think he enjoyed all of it, like that process? Like, do you think even since you've retired, like, do you look back on, we talk about it. Like, I know James last year in the factory ride, like, there's a lot more pressure, and it's like you don't really stop to soak it all in. Like, did you guys? Have you reflected on that? Did you guys get to talk about that at all? Just like you see the stuff upstairs, like the experiences and the people you guys have met.
Well, just you telling us that, bringing home a Repsol tail, and you're like, dude, you're just going to throw that away?
Yeah.
How do you?
Yeah.
He would reflect a little bit, but, to be honest, when we reflected, it was always with the family about crazy stuff we did as kids, traveling and doing flat tracks. It was never like MotoGP wins. It was like, hey, you remember that time we pulled that prank on Dad when we was in Purdue? Like, that was like always. Remember when we went camping at Putnam Park? He didn't really. I think Nicky would have reflected when he was done, but he was just always so locked in, man. 365 days a year. He never had a drink of alcohol till he won the MotoGP championship. And when a couple buddies were hanging out at my house, and it was getting tight. You know what I mean? He was getting a little tight, and the points were tightening up. And somebody said, "Hey, Nicky, if you win the title, would you have a drink of beer?" And he stood up and said, "If I win that title, I'll have a drink. But that's it." And then 2 months afterwards, we're like, you gotta, and he just took his sip. But I mean, we talk about his work ethic. When he won the title Sunday at Valencia, he woke me up Monday morning, 7:30. Dude, let's go run. We gotta go run. I got some stuff I gotta do today.
What?
I'm like, dude, you just won the.
You're the man.
Yeah, you just won the championship. Yeah, and 7:30 next morning. It's like, next year started.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It was kind of cool. Like, we're running through Spain, and there's people, not a lot, but people, congrats, Hayden, and, just people blowing their horn, and it's kind of fun.
That's special.
You don't really see that
here.
And then it wasn't like a full celebrity, but it's just kind of cool to see different people honking and waving.
I mean, in Europe for sure. I mean, Europe is crazy.
Big time.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about Europe, you've had just a small glimpse of some European stuff. Right?
Yeah, just a little bit. I just did the...
you had that amazing ride in World Superbike.
Some people think we're like, oh, yeah, you paid for that ride. I'm like, if I was going to pay for a ride, I would have... The deal was I had a Moto2 ride.
Yeah.
With a good team. And I was going to go and stay in Nicky's motorhome. And then somebody came and bought my ride. And waiting on the contract.
What team was it? Can you say?
It was It was one of the good ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Not like, I wasn't, it was just,
Yeah, it was a good team.
it was a good team. Finally got to like November, and then it's like December, and finally they said somebody brought money to the team, so it's like December, and I don't have a ride, and the only thing left was do that or sit home. And I don't need to tell you boys this, nothing, but if you're not around for a weekend in this sport, they will forget fast.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my best year, and it was tough, but, you still see me out there.
Yeah.
Do you think there was any, sorry, Corey, did you have more ambition to try to go over to Europe at all? Or America was so good still.
So obviously everybody races wants to be world champion. That's kind of like what you tell yourself. But you always have those reservations like, do I want to be gone that long? When you really get to the nuts and bolts of it, and, you see what Nicky does traveling. Yeah, I wanted to, but I wasn't like him at all. He didn't care. He wanted to go. In 2007, I was we were doing Thursday practice because we were struggling. And we were fighting with Hayes for the title in SuperSport. And we did a practice, and I come in, and the team manager said, hey, we need to drive around. And I get undressed, and I'm like trying to think the whole time, like, dude, what? He's like, I know what this title means. Like, why are they going to put more pressure on me? That was when Olivier Jacques got hurt and was retiring. We drive around the track at Utah, and he's like, do you want to go MotoGP? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great one day, blah, 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 finish what we got here. He's like, no, like tonight.
What?
Yeah. Like, there's a flight tonight at 9 o'clock, and, I'll let you have your contract, and you can go race for Kawasaki MotoGP. You're already under contract. And I'm like, well, do I have time to think about it? They're like, dude, somebody's got to get on the bike. Like, not that weekend, but the next, they were ready. And I was like, dude, you always want to go MotoGP, but then once you get that, like,
yeah.
And I was just thinking about, I'm like, you know what, I'll just wait till next time. And I have no regrets because it probably wouldn't have worked out. But, yeah, then Anthony West got the ride. And then I still did the wild card at Laguna. But, yeah, we drive around the parking lot, and right there, like, leaving that night.
You want to go?
Yeah.
And at that time, did you have a manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you talked with them?
I talked with them, but I pretty much knew, like, I needed more time, man.
Yeah.
You think about, it's just a totally different
But it was
animal.
like for the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Fuck. Wow. Dude.
Yeah.
Learning tracks.
Yeah.
On the Cowie.
Yeah, and then it's like,
Who was the teammate? Hopper or?
Dupunier.
Dupunier, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I said, it was just kind of overwhelming at the time because I'm like, dude, can I just get a little bit?
Yeah.
Can I call my dad? Can I, I didn't have to tell him exactly the spot, but like within an hour. And I wanted to, my brothers won the SuperSport title, and I wanted one so bad because I felt like they did it. I can't be the only one that the previous year I won the first race, pole position, first two races, and I broke my ankle. And that put me out. The year before, I lost the title by like 9 points, but I had a mechanical at Daytona running second with 1 lap to go. So at the end of the year, which it doesn't mean like Tommy wouldn't have rode hard or some other races. So I ended up second again. And so you're just telling yourself I didn't have that mechanical. And then my first year against Tommy, I lost the SuperSport Championship at the last race. But there it didn't sting because I'd never been a championship and my name didn't go together, at that point. So I was like not bummed, but then I got second that year. And then the next year, like, I'm ready to get this SuperSport thing checked off and just focus on Superbike. And I don't know, you look back on it, but I was leading the championship. We talk about teams being loyal. I had the same mechanics through all that. And I'm like, dude, we've all been working 3 or 4 years nonstop for this, and I'm just going to
let it go.
And they would have understood.
Yeah.
But I just...
So how many races left? Because you said it was an 07.
It was early. It was,
so you would have won it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was the year I won it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like there was only 2 races. Like it was like May or... It was definitely before July because they had Anthony on the bike at Laguna.
So then it was a good decision, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I won the title. You can always look back but dude, it's a tough world over there, dude. They could have spit me up and chewed me up and put me back in the Ohio River just like that, and my career could have been done.
I mean, dude, you look at like Chantra, you feel bad for somebody that they gave him essentially half a year.
Yeah.
They gave him 8 races, and they're like,
somebody else moves in, takes my seat, and
then what?
Yeah, and then
call back.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, can I get that ride back? And they're like, no, we already put some other little younger person on. So I
think that's the thing that people don't realize is like, it's one, it's hard not to take the opportunities because I feel like there's a couple opportunities that maybe I passed on that, but it's also like if you take all the opportunities, it's not like the doors stay open.
No,
like
not
you
at
walk
all.
through and they shut. They just
as soon as I got on that flight to Europe, it would have been
chapter's over.
Yeah.
What about like financially? I mean, winning that championship, what were those years like? I mean, I know factory money back then was pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really good during that time. I mean, it's kind of tough talking about it sometimes because all the generation. But like, it used to pay the win a SuperSport race at Daytona would pay like $75K, just at Daytona and Laguna.
What about the 200, or was that?
I don't know. You want to know what's weird? When I went to do the 200 in Superbike. They went to SuperSport. I've never even did the 200.
You never raced a 200?
No.
Dude, you got to come out of retirement for that.
Yeah, when I went I couldn't wait. When I got to Superbike and do the 200, been watching it as a kid. They went back to SuperSport. So.
Do you have no idea what those, because I've always heard those were like big.
I would say at least.
So when you said $75K for a SuperSport, that was just a regular SuperSport race, not even a 200.
And Laguna.
But only those.
For that year, and the rest of them were like 20, 25.
Still.
And then a championship bonus.
But not that year. I won Daytona. I won Laguna. I won the title.
It was a good year.
It was a good year.
Yeah. I mean, those...
Was the championship bonuses like Supercross level at
it's
that
not
time?
like million. It wasn't like a million, but yeah, it was a couple 100,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard. Was the GP contract, would it have been the same? Like you would have
It would have
made
been
the same money?
for the year.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's hard. I mean, even like looking at it through that lens.
Yeah, and then even after that, I got another contract from Kawasaki, which is when I really had a really good one because I won the title and I've been there for long and I was their horse, and they were, they really compensated me on that last contract, which they maybe wouldn't have if I went to GP and didn't do very good.
And so talking about that, I know. Different era, but everyone seemed to have managers and stuff. You said you had a manager back then. How much of your life, or racing life rather, were they a part of, as far as like, were they handling all your contracts, handling your money? Like, was it everything? And like, do you think that's a big difference nowadays too? There's just obviously there's no money to pay managers.
Yeah,
but
that's a big point. There's no money to pay the manager, and the people my dad hooked us up with was international racers, the same people like Wayne and my brothers and Kenny Roberts and all them. When my dad knew we was gonna start making money, when Tommy was getting 16 or a little older, he wanted like there was never gonna be an issue about me taking money. So
what do you mean, your dad?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he was like, these guys are gonna start, when you get money, this is, I'll help you if you want to build apartments or whatever, but I don't want us to be responsible for your finances. And then if something happens, it's, I think it's just better if you have. So they did contracts, and then they also did the finances, the investing, and it's tough because all your checks go there. But sometimes you're making money and you're like, dude, why can't I just go why can't I just go buy this stupid boat I want? You know what I mean? Like, come on, it's going to be a good weekend. The sun's out, it's June, and they're like, well,
Yeah,
you
you just made $75K.
Yeah, you think you really need it, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, probably not. And then, like, I didn't really like that part of it till I was about 30, 35. And then you sit there and you think about all that dumb things you wanted to, what vehicle you wanted to buy for no reason. But they did all the contracts, and like they would go to team managers too. And then toward the end though, like after like 2012, 2011, from there, you wasn't your own manager, but you were going to they wasn't sending nobody to the race. They would be sending somebody to like every race. From that point, you pretty much talk to the manager yourself, and then like call them and have them take care of it.
You put kind of dot
Yeah. So it wasn't, they used to come to the track and go talk to everybody for you, and then now, they're like you said, they didn't have the money to pay the travel, and then they still, like, they don't get any part of like the money I make announcing, but my check still goes to them, and they still manage and invest the finances.
Oh, so you're still doing stuff with them now?
Yeah,
even?
just
Wow.
finance. Like, they don't get a part of what I get paid anywhere else, but yeah, it's still just that part.
Do you think things would have been completely different if you didn't do that? Like, do you think you would?
I think it would have been different for
Yeah.
sure. My dad would have helped a lot though, because he was really smart about that stuff, and he was really good. And I mean, from day one, he said, you got to think about the day you're done. Like, he was like, he's smart, and you can look around. I mean, he's, made a lot of good decisions. Like, when I first was buying a house when I was like 20, he's like, you should buy a 3-plex apartment and just live in one side of it and, rent the other side. And then when you find the house you want, you'll be ready. You got time to think about it. I'm like, no, dude, I got to have a house. And my dad's like, we're all building a bunch of apartments over here. Just follow along, And so that's what I did. I built a 3-plex and lived in one part of it, rented the other 2. And then my parents' neighbor's house come up for sale, and I bought that house. But you fast forward like 20 years later, we just sold those apartments, and it's just like, I would have never been in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have never like wanted to spend my money there. I would have wanted to spend it on a house.
Yeah.
Or a boat.
Yeah, or a boat.
No, that's. I think that's crazy. I mean,
It's not for everybody. I will tell you this. There's some people that had them, and they can't do
not knowing.
Not being in control of all
Yeah.
their
Well,
finances.
you gotta have a lot of trust.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you
makes
get
me
you
nervous,
get
yeah.
monthly statements.
Yeah, so you see everything.
Oh yeah, and then like a year-end review.
I mean, I know Jared Mees was really, really smart, and he's, I've
Yeah.
asked him a few questions, but I mean, he's even said, sounds like the same sort of deal. Like, since he was 16 years old, he was just constantly setting himself up for his future.
Same here. Like, even when I
And
was,
it goes.
yeah.
so
I mean, you just
quick.
think about it, you go from making how much you're ever making, and then like 1% of it, and it's like, it's scary too. When you're spending money a little bit, not blowing it, but just living expenses, doesn't really scare you at first when you got something coming in. But yeah, I thought about that. My whole career was just, hopefully I do enough at the back end and I don't do something stupid.
Yeah, so you don't have to
Yeah.
go work on the farm.
Yeah.
Do you think that you would, like, now that you've been retired and you're kind of doing some stuff, like, you want to do some stuff yourself? Like, do you have any ambition to, like, in the later of your, life, to do some investments that are outside of,
Yeah, some
Scope.
investments. I will say, like,
just to do something, or
yeah,
just to,
see,
like,
that's the thing. I don't understand the investment part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I could organize and find the right people, and, that part I would be pretty good at. So I would like to do that. And I've this year helped a couple of riders looking to get a ride. Was far from their manager, but they're like, hey, I need a ride here. And then, I went and dropped a seed for them and then
Nice.
just backed out. So some part, just the actual investing somebody else's money,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It'd be hard for me to live at night. Just knowing like, I did the wrong move. It's stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah.
I think exactly what you said. It's important to have good people. Jimmy, perfect time for our next segment.
Yeah, Gulf Point Advisors, a forward-thinking wealth advisory firm. Founded in 2016, Gulf Point Advisors, a New Orleans-based boutique investment firm led by longtime listener Tris Millard. Helping clients nationwide get on track with their financial goals, whether that's investing, planning for the future, or just making smarter money decisions. The best part, if you have financial questions or want to learn about benefits of professional money management, call our good friend Tris at 603-731-3230 or email tris@gulfpointadvisors.com. Gulf Point Advisors, investing with purpose. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisors services offered through New Edge Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor. New Edge Advisors LLC and Gulf Point Advisors are separate entities from LPL Financial. Thank you from Gulf Point Advisors, and thanks for some of these money moves.
Yeah, that's one thing I would do if you're making money. I mean, what is it? 72% NBA players go bankrupt after just a couple years, and they're making $90 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
You
something you
think-
got to think about.
Well, I mean, we talk about it on every single podcast. Me and Corey, we don't regret any of our decisions, but we definitely wish we could have taken. We had a couple really good years,
Yeah.
in super sport, and when the times were really tough, we could have capitalized massively. So, when we had a conversation with Blake Davis, we just learn. Try to
Yeah, just
ask
have-
somebody. You don't need to give any money away.
Right.
Just
have
try to.
somebody help you.
Dude.
Just learn, figure it
Yeah.
out, ask questions, go to the bank, go
Yeah.
here, and just ask around the paddock. There's a lot of people in the paddock you'd be surprised that's pretty good on actually investing.
Yeah.
What have you made any stupid purchases? Did they let you give you any leeway? What was your?
I've actually never.
Dude, you had a Range Rover. Stop.
Yeah, that was probably.
Did you?
Yeah, dude.
That was probably my biggest purchase by far.
Really.
Yeah, but I was like, at the time, it was like my dream car, and I found one a couple years old, like this color I wanted, and like I've never ever like asked for anything, and then finally I was like, hey, I want this car, and they're like, okay,
You sure?
yeah. At first they said, you sure, and they said, yeah, okay,
You've earned it.
yeah, and because you did so well, like this is.
It's not gonna.
It's not gonna
hurt that.
just because you're smart. Now don't. So it wasn't like I went and bought one with right from 0 miles. Like I still did a couple years old, and kind of a couple miles, not a ton of miles, but I didn't just go pay the premium.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty amazing though that you've. I guess your dad had the foresight to make those decisions really early on for you guys, but you also been like strict enough with yourself because it is hard.
It's really hard, but then you just even now, like it was really hard when I was young because I didn't want to. I wanted to. Me and my buddies go to the casino. I want to go and like spend a couple hundred or a couple. Not like $2,000, but $500, and it's like they're pulling out more cash than me, and I'm like scratching my head like.
You know what you're making.
Yeah, you do most grass, and you know what I mean. Like, I'm asking for a 20 spot, So it was definitely hard, but I think I've seen enough people now to, when they retired, hit full panic.
Yeah.
Because they didn't think it was ever going to end. They didn't have a ride. They got a kid. They got nothing. You know what I mean? Like you see stories like that, and it's like it helps. Try to stay on the right path.
So you're pretty set then as far as, retirement goes? Like, you gonna have to end up at Kroger anytime soon, or you're pretty good?
Not anytime soon, but, I'm not like super great, but.
Yeah. If you're
I'm
smart,
okay.
you can.
Yeah, if I'm smart,
That's pretty amazing, though.
But it also depends on what kind of life you want,
Yeah.
If I want private jets and all that, no, I'm far from that. But I'm okay, and I'm still pretty good, and I still make some money with MotoAmerica, and right now I do want to find something to do more, but I don't have to like right today.
Yeah.
So, and I watch it and I keep up with it and like
Learning more about it.
like, hey, am I okay? Can I do this? Can I, I still pay pretty close attention, but I'm not like, I'm going to act like I'm just ready to jet set.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wanted to buy? Like is there anything that you, like a Rolex or like is there anything that you just like, it's just dumb?
Yeah. Not too well. When I got my house, I was getting new carpet. I don't even want to talk about this. But my mom was down there like, Mom, we should get Louis Vuitton carpet.
Really?
Yeah, and she's like, do you even know what that is? She's like, you don't even know what that is. I'm like, I know, but I see everybody talking about it. But it was like, you think about what a pair of shoes cost. That was probably one of the things, and I was just like, that was so. You look back on it, you think, I'm embarrassed even. But there really hasn't been. There's always a couple, like right now, I would love a Chevy Trail Boss truck, a couple years old, but, they're still 60, 70,000. I'm just like, you know what, I don't want to drop it right now. My truck's 9 years old and still running, so there's obviously, if I had my own control, my own money, it would probably be a new Trail Boss in the driveway.
That's probably better safe you don't.
So there's not a lot of course there's always things you want to buy or whatever, but I never really, I don't know, I just never really had that big desire where I was mad that I didn't get it.
Yeah.
What about growing up? I mean, obviously, I think around Owensboro, it seems like you guys are a little bit of a household name. Everybody knows you guys between you, Nicky, and Tommy. Was there any of that kind of like, when you went back to school after racing Superbike or whatever the case was, people looking at you like, you're some famous athlete making millions of dollars?
No.
Like, was there misconceptions?
Not. Some people had that, like, oh yeah, after high school, like, they're professional, they're bringing in millions, which wasn't the truth. But when we were in high school, dude, we were just like normal kids. Like, they had no idea, they didn't care. They did know Nicky was in high school and had like got my mom a Corvette, and they were all kind of like, looking at that weird, but never. Not when we were younger, because we were just like one of the boys. I mean, whose pumpkins do we want to smash this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're in high school. Or any yards, we haven't toilet papered yet. Any targets, So, but then when you get out of high school and you get like 20, 21, and other people, there's a lot of people that start thinking that you got a lot more money than you really do, because they see professional racer and then they see what a professional NFL player makes, and then they think it adds up, and it don't at all.
No, it's definitely, can't compare apples to apples there. What about, I mean, I feel like just spending time with like Jake Lewis and whatnot and seeing some of the boys that hang around with Hayden, whatnot, it seems like I know from where I grew up, at least, like nobody knows or even really gives a shit about racing, but here it feels like it's a lot more part of like life in a way where people follow it, and like they're actually, like last night we were just hanging out and it's like those dudes knew us. We don't know them at all. I mean, I know them of name, but like they watch the podcast and like they follow what we're doing, and it's like, they're just dudes who live in Owensboro, Kentucky. But
and that's the thing, the people that used to watch us and now they've moved on to Jake, JD, Hayden, Nick. Yeah, it's just kind of like the small town. Like, since we're done, they were following us. They just went ahead and, I still see people at Barber and, that's from Owensboro. I'm like, hey, what are you doing there? Like, oh, we wanted to see the OWB boys. So it's just,
cool.
That's one of the cool things about being from a small town. There's people like, even now, like some people, I'll be somewhere and they're like, dude, you do good on the broadcast. I'm like, how do you even know, what? And obviously they're still following and listening.
I think it's really special.
Do you get do you go out much?
No, but I could if I, it's not like that.
Yeah, but do you get stopped much?
Sometimes, but not
as much anymore.
Not as much anymore. I'm usually just, I don't know, people, you talked about how we're just, like, we never asked for that. Like, we just wanted to be
regular.
One of the boys or one of the customers at Tractor Supply that brings their dog in. Like, just wanted to be, just normal OWB boys.
Yeah. I keep looking at the hat. Like, we've heard about Third Chance Auto. You told us about Second Chance Auto, Last Chance. I think there's a lot of people that have heard the name. Can you tell us a little bit about what is Third Chance Auto, Second Chance Auto? Did your dad own it?
Yeah, he owned it. It's a buy here, pay here, and it used to be kind of bigger. And it was Second Chance. So his idea was you didn't get your first car, so now you need another chance, and that's why you need us to help you finance it. Was his story. And he had it for like 15 years, and then they got rid of it. JD Byrider came in and bought it, and then they bought like 4 miles out past. They started another car lot because people were making payments and stuff. And they had it for a couple of years and it was doing good again. And JD Byrider wanted to sell out. Wanted to sell it back, and they asked my dad if he wanted it. And my sister was needing something, you know what I mean? And Dad's like, yeah, I do actually. And he bought it back, but he didn't want to call it Second Chance. He wanted to change the name. Because this previous guy they was partners with was, it didn't end that great. And so when my dad wanted it back, he didn't want the same name. So he wanted to call it Third Chance or Last Chance, because how many chances? I mean, it's your third chance is about your last chance. So he stuck with Third Chance, and they're back in their own same spot. My sister runs it.
Oh, it's still
going.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why they still use it.
Yeah, my sister runs it. And then another kid works there that started there washing cars, like when he was in high school. And now him and my sister run it.
Wow.
That's really cool.
Because we see the name everywhere, and it's kind of like a famous but untold story of what.
Oh, yeah. And then, like, people always want hats and stuff. And the kid that started working there in high school, he's like a huge racing, especially flat track. You know what I mean? Like, so he's always, anytime the Essence vehicles need anything, I mean, they're right to the front of the line, and hats and shirts. And,
That's really cool, though. I mean, it's like a whole small town thing. You know what I mean? It's like, that's why we're in the moonlight.
I know. We didn't know. I guess the white is like new workers. Like you're new.
Yeah.
That's skilled.
Yeah.
Brown.
They didn't have those hats for a while. They're back in stock.
Well, they're not on the shelf. You gotta ask.
Oh, okay.
They're behind the counter.
Yeah.
We learned that last time we were here. You gotta ask. You gotta ask
They're
for
sweet.
them. Yeah. They are cool.
This small town thing is like, dude, when I used to go to California in the winter for 3 months to train in the city of Orange, I could not wait to get home. By the end of
just not your vibe.
Just not me, dude. Like,
I could see why though. It's like definitely charming.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy. It's like low key. It's clean cut. Everything's nice.
Like, it's not special. My house is nothing special. It's old, falling apart. But dude, I just can't wait to get back to Earl's Lane.
What else have you found, like, since racing ended, like, passion wise? Like, I know you were big into fishing and that kind of stuff. Are you still doing any of that?
I still do a little bit of that, and I do a little bit of hunting as well. But really the first couple years, I didn't do anything because I was helping take care of my dad. And if he ever needed anything, I was,
right here.
My phone was on, and I'm 2 seconds away. So, and then now that's kind of passed, and I still like to do a lot of stuff for my mom, but I'm in that position in my life where I'm ready to, find something. But I want to do something that I'm passionate about, like productive, that I wake up and I'm excited about. You know what I mean? Like, you go to bed and you enjoy it. And so I'm still kind of searching for that. I still have time to find that. But in the meantime, I do like to fish some. And to be honest with you, dude, my favorite thing to do is just be right here where we're at in this barn. Just messing with the goats, messing with the dog, messing with feeding the fish, messing with the barn cat. Like, I mean,
just being here.
Just being here, dude. It's just, I don't know. It's just my favorite thing. But I do know I want to find something else to do. And all that. So we'll see.
Do you think it's just because you spent so much time here? It's like, as far as like all the memories and laps and so on and so forth, you kind of just hold on to that?
I think a lot of it is that, and it's just so peaceful.
It is.
You know what I mean? You don't hear no
Quiet.
traffic. There's nobody that comes here. And then also, it was nice being close to my dad. And then now I'm close to, my mom. But, I think eventually one day down the line is, me and my wife will probably move off, the road just because, I think, all the property we own and all that. I think, and I could be wrong. We could talk to me in 6 months and it could be different, but probably buy our own place. I've lived on this road. I'm 42 and a half, 41 years of my life. Yeah. So I haven't made it far from mom and dad.
Well, you've been around the world, though.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. Do you think that?
It's scary though.
Yeah.
Like me and my wife's house, it needs some work. It's like, it's beat up. It's old. But it's like, God, we just love the location though. Like, we're going to go get a little bit nicer house and then just, it's one of them things.
A shitty neighbor.
Yeah. Because you hear about people moving all the time, getting their upgrade, and they're like, even the person that bought my house or that I bought the house from, the neighbors, they actually own Moonlight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the owners that's there, and his wife wanted to go to the community where somebody mowed your yard, and there was
now
and
she
they were
wants it
older.
back.
And it was like 6 months later, he came back knocking on the door.
Hey.
Yeah, are you happy? Do you want to sell? I'm like, no, dude, we ain't going nowhere for a while.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, you say you have some people ride here every once in a while, or like, do you have any ambition to like watch that and to like, do you have any ambition to go over to Jake's house and watch, or is that just a different part of?
Sometimes, dude, I'll hear them riding back there, and I'm at home, and I just
Don't
even
care.
cruise up. Sometimes I do, or hang out in the garage, but
Why is that, though? You think it's like
I don't
'cause
know.
you don't want to like reopen that chapter,
I
or
don't know. I went to, though, this year. My wife's like, why don't you just go down there and watch them? Like, you can hear them ride. And like, what else? I'm like, yeah, I should. Because, I mean, I need to go and check it out and just ride and, be part of it. So, I don't know. It's something I need to do more for sure.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just kind of seeing all this stuff and hearing the stories. It's like there's at one point, obviously, there's a lot of life and things going on here. It's like it feels like it'd be cool to see that back again. You know, see just kind of you stepping into that role, almost like your dad was out there, the stopwatch. Just having that. I mean, obviously, you have so much experience, right? I mean, like all the things you've learned and been able to take away from your brothers, your dad, just racing in general.
Yeah, but it's definitely. They didn't have a track down there for a while, but the last 2 years it's been back, and they've been riding a little bit more. So, yeah, definitely something I need to look into and, be more a part of. Or sometimes, like, I'll just be right here feeding the goats, letting the goats out, and they're down there riding, and I just see it, I just head back to the, I don't know.
I guess is that something as well? Like, you've done it your entire life. Like you haven't done anything else.
So this year I came up here a couple times.
Yeah.
Cutting. It was kind of like fun to be back in the garage.
Yeah.
The
Just
youngest
bullshitting.
train was crashing all the time. They were giving him a hard time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it was like kind of fun to hear that banter back again.
What would you say the hardest part about retiring has been?
The good days. And the hardest part really for me was the last year I was racing was, am I done? Am I not? Am I done? Am I not?
That was my question going to be. Did you know?
So when I ended 2017, I had my best year by far. Like podiumed every Superbike race that I've finished, a couple wins. But it was mentally draining as well because of all the stuff with Nicky. And I remember we were on the grid at Barber for race 2, and just a downpour came, and I was just like so bummed because I'm like, dude, I just need to get away. Like, I just want to go fish. I don't want I need to just go hunt. I don't want to ride out here in these deep. Like, I need to get away. And the dude at Suzuki's like, y'all don't want to go out? You don't have to. And I was like, dude, I just need to go. I think I just need a break. And from when we started testing for 2018, the guy that ended 2017 that won a Superbike race, his very last Superbike race of the year, Barber, at the September, whenever it was, I'm not sure what he stayed at Barber, because when we went testing, I was off the whole time, all year. And then there was like, I started noticing some place. There's like at Thunder Hill, there's like a really fast left-hander, and you have to man up, when you want to do a good lap. I remember going through, I'm like, damn, boy, if I go down here, that's gonna hurt. And I've never in my life ever felt like that. We went to Sonoma and tested, dog slow again. And, I was talking to Don Sakakura about it. I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. He's like, dude, you haven't forgot how to ride in 6 months. And I'm like, that's what I keep telling myself. And then we went to Road Atlanta in the kink. I seen y'all might want to cover your ears. But I looked to the left in the kink, Road Atlanta, 190-something on Superbike. And I was like, dude, that will be bad.
Yeah, of course.
And I've never in my life, like, those were the places where I excelled at, was dodgy corners. And then I struggled a little bit. Then I'd have a good race and get on the podium. And then I would struggle. And then I was really on the fence after Laguna, because I crashed in qualifying again, was on row 4, double podium from 4th row. I'm like, well, maybe I still got it. And then we went to Utah, and I was running 3rd, and I had a huge gap to the people behind me. Like, I was in la land. Like, I wasn't going to catch the leaders, but nobody behind me was going to catch me, and I crashed. Like, just trying to see the checker flag. And then I, like, knew then, like, that's it, dude. Like, you don't have it no more. That's
Not necessarily the talent, but just the desire.
Yeah, just the desire. Something was just, and I didn't just want to keep a seat to keep a seat. And so after that weekend, I called Suzuki, and I was like, hey, I'm going to retire. Do we want to do this together, or do you want me to do something on my own? Technically, what I really wanted to do was just put something out at the end of the year. And somebody's like, dude, that's the easy way out. Like, people have been so good to you and your family. Like, they deserve, like, a couple races of, like,
if they weren't going to
come and, like, not, like, for me, but, like, farewell for, like, the family in a way. And I was like, yeah, that's right. So that's why I announced it. And then I did the last 3 races. But the mental part, dude, that's the thing. Like, it's just, like, the training, the desire, the want to wake up, the long nights, the staring at the data, none of that was a problem. Like, I still didn't mind the grind. I worked harder from 2017 to 2018 because I was that close to the title. And then, dude, it's just something
changed.
Something switched.
When you announced it, or when you decided, did it make it easier to finish the season? Like,
It took all the pressure off.
Did your results come back at all?
No.
Okay, you just... Yeah.
Probably worse.
Okay.
Besides the last race, Barber, I was running in the top 3 for a while in the Superbike. But, yeah, they didn't get any better. So but I didn't really... the pressure was off. I don't want to say I didn't care, but...
Yeah.
But I was...
It's different.
Yeah, I was...
So when you look at people like Hayes, and you look at people... like kind of like JD, and that, like, I mean, they just
keep
like
going.
Energizer Bunny.
I just didn't. I don't know how they, especially like Josh, like just the desire. It's just really.
I raced him at Chuck Wall last year, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, dude.
And the stuff he does, I'm like, dude, why? How do you want it that bad still?
Like, holy shit, you raced it for. I mean,
like, I knew the days of me winning were done, and like. I didn't want to come back and go to a satellite team just to continue, or be a 7th place Superbike rider. Like, you see a lot of guys in like the NBA Hall of Famers, not that I'm a Hall of Famer, but they come off the bench their last 4 years of their career, and it's like, dude, you used to be the best in the league, and now you want to, like, I never really understood that.
Do you think you would have bounced back, though? Like, if you kind of just pushed through, was there other factors that you think maybe were kind of like, just life-wise, where you're starting, like, some perspective things where maybe you could have relearned?
I don't know, because I was trying so hard. It was just mental. Like, I couldn't, like, it was just like the mental aspect. Like, I couldn't figure it out. Like, people would be watching and they're like, dude, you're supposed to break at the 2, or, you're breaking at the 3. I'm like, I know. Like, the brain is saying at the 3 board, pull in the brake, and that's just what it was. And, honestly, 2017 was, it was a brutal, it was a mental hurdle. We can get into that, but it was tough.
Yeah, I can't imagine riding with the weight of that. You know what I mean? That whole deal. And then obviously, I would think from a life perspective, whether at the time you probably realized it or not, it definitely must put some things into perspective.
Big time.
You're in your mid-30s.
Can happen.
You guys know this, like, you always see people's numbers going viral, pray for, this, pray for that. Like, you never even dream it's going to be somebody in your family. Like, never even, like, crossed my mind. And then one day it's just like, don't give up, Nicky, remember 69. It's just like it was a shock big time. So you can't ever, like, prepare for that. And one hard part too was, like, every race weekend during fan walk,
just everybody.
And you know what? That's what you do. That's what people do. Ella, and Avery's dad passed away, and I did the same thing. Hey, sorry to hear about your dad. That's just what people do. But every fan walk was just an hour long.
Can't get away from
Nicky
it.
Stories, pictures, and, like, it was just like you relived it. And then the next race, and then the next race. And then, so it was just really hard. And just really the way it happened. So we were testing it at Pittsburgh. And my brother Tommy called me right before we went out. And I thought, we didn't call each other. We knew we were testing. If we needed something, hey, when you get time, whatever. Tommy called me. So I knew right there, so, dude, my dad passed away. Because I've been waiting on that phone call for years. And I go out of the garage, and he's like, hey, Nicky had an incident. It's not good. I'm like, really? How long is he out? He's like, no. Like, it's not good. Like, he's probably not going to make it. Me and Mom's, I'm going to tell Mom and Dad right now, and we're getting on a flight in Evansville and going to Italy. And I was like, he's going to, he's like, yeah. And I sat down, I was about to go out, and I'm like, trying to process it, and the track went green. And I went out and, did 4 laps. And I told the crew right before I went out, I did 4 laps. And I came back in, I'm like, dude, I can't ride. Like, I don't even know what to think. I'm thinking about my dad, I'm thinking about my mom, I'm thinking about my sister, everything, I'm just lost. And then we took a couple sessions off, and then I was going to try again in the afternoon. Because I was still going for the Superbike title, still in the hunt then. It's early in the year, and Pittsburgh's toward the end of the year. That place is hard to learn, so I didn't want to, spot Tony up, and then me learning the track at the end, and Bobier as well. So I went and set up on the hill for the whole day up at Pittsburgh. And I remember Greg and Jason coming and talking to me, and I don't remember what they said, but I just remember they were there, trying to, be there. And I just thought about it all day, and I called my dad and went, Dad, do I need to come home? What, I know this is bigger than what I'm doing now. I'll come home right now. And he's like, well, there's nothing you can do right now. Just try to learn the track in the morning. I think Nicky would want you to figure it out. So I was like, all right, and I stayed out. And me and the team the next day, it's like, all right, if we get to this lap time, then you're out, The funny part was Tony was such a good teammate. He was waiting for me 24/7 that next day. Follow me. Come on, I'm gonna help you learn it. But he's like running off track and like, and I'm like, finally after 2 sessions, I'm like, dude, I need to do my own. Like, I appreciate it 9 times out of 10. Like, this would be great. Maybe when we come back at the end of the year, but like right now I need to do my own thing and just try to figure it out. And I got to lap time and then I went home and dude.
Did you go to Italy?
No. I came here and took care of my dad. And like the whole way home from Pittsburgh, like I called and like somebody had the phone to his ear and like said goodbye and like we knew right away, like while he was still with the tube, like, hey man, blah blah blah, I got 2 nieces, I love you, and I'm gonna take care of mom, dad, just like the whole goodbye. And I come home and I'm like, racing's gonna be second for now, and my dad's already sick. Well, he has a heart attack. Broken heart syndrome's real. When your heart can't handle the emotional load. So we take my dad to the hospital, ambulance. Nicky's in the hospital in Italy. Dad's in the hospital here. Fuck. And I'm like, my sisters are in town, and I'm like trying like to put the racing thing behind me, but I still want a Superbike title. I mean, I've been trying for so many years, and my dad was like so sick, like they read you your last rites, like we were reading him his last rites, and I'm sitting there thinking like, dude, I'm gonna lose my dad, and my brother in the same week. Like I just couldn't. I was lost. Drained. I'm like, dude, I just won a Superbike race the weekend before and like on top of the world, and then now my dad, my brother, my mom's over here and she's not even gonna, so it was just like, it was a lot. He bounced back like he always does, but he was in the hospital for a little while. And I just told my sisters like, dude, I'll stay every night. Just let me continue what I'm doing. So I would go stay at the hospital with my dad at night. They had kids, so they had ball and all that stuff. And then I would catch the boys for the bicycle ride in the dirt back here, and then I would shower and go back to the hospital and sleep. Wow. And until he came home. And I mean, one day we was at the turn track, and I was just sitting there, my heart rate was like 135, 140. Like, I mean, wasn't even riding, just sitting there. And finally I told them, like, dude, I gotta stop. Like, So then my dad, he finally made it home. He was on like oxygen, and then Nicky made it back, and it was just a tough. It was just like you can't even
make it up.
Can't even make it up, and it's your brother, and you're crazy. Like people would send me the video, like
really,
like the picture of it, like, hey, sorry to hear about Nicky, and I'm like, dude, I don't even like looking at that stuff if I don't know him, but more or less, my brother. So it was just,
yeah,
it was just a lot, dude, to try to manage and try to get through and still be the man of the family, because Tommy's over in Italy with my mom, and my mom's calling and she's like, how's Earl doing? It was just,
yeah,
we were just all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, there's just the, let alone the circumstances, but the high and the low at the same time was enough to
just snap you.
Dude, I was on cloud, like, just one Superbike race at VIR, right there, a couple points out of the lead, testing with the team, loved Geo Skies. Like, we were joking up. You could not kill our vibe if you tried. One phone call.
Boom.
Go from that to...
Yeah.
I mean, it just puts life in perspective.
Yeah,
and
it does, dude.
And like the older Abba, we've talked about how there's a certain time in my life where there was nothing else but racing.
Yeah.
And like it was like I would die to race. And now I've heard it my whole life. Oh no, like racing's just a small part of your life, and it's crazy to finally live through the point where like there is more to life than racing.
And then like just being home with my dad, like he usually, I told you, every time we needed something, he's able to, don't see him for a week, you know, he'll call the American Honda boss, hey, my kid needs a ride, or, you know, like anything, like he would do it or try for his kids. It doesn't matter if it's us or his sisters, you know. It was just like he didn't care what it was. He didn't know control of the situation. He didn't know how to. He couldn't call nobody. He couldn't call a buddy. He couldn't call a doctor. He knew he couldn't, like, and he's got an oxygen tank, and he's just like, you know, running around. And it was like, dude, Dad, you just got to stay in bed, man. There's nothing we or you can do. Like, you know, he's not coming back, you know.
I think that's like, even with racing, you're so in control of everything, right? So
Yeah.
it's like one of those situations where you just are a passenger.
And I've never been through anything like that. I hadn't lost a parent yet. I lost a buddy when I was younger, but not like that sort of, you know, issue.
Yeah, when you're talking about like the hospital stuff, it's like even now I've gone through so many years and it's just flashback straight to that room. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
I just feel
like even when we were talking about it right then, I could just still get that feeling of when we were reading my dad's last rites, and I was like, dude, my aunts are there, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna lose my dad, my brother. Like, how can things like just change like this, this quick?
I think the most amazing part too, though, is like, my fiance always like talks about racing like coming first. It's like always the jokes, like racing always comes first. It's like the ability to compartmentalize things.
Yeah.
I don't know how we learned that with racing, I guess, because like we were talking about before, you got to go out and you wad your bike and you're watching some guy like put the brakes back on it, and then you got to go back out and do 150 miles an hour on it. But like that ability to want to even get on a motorcycle after that is just, I don't know, there's something, I don't know if there's something wrong with us.
but even like his funeral was like right before Road America.
Yeah.
They could have pushed it back, but I'm like, dude, I'm not making my parents wait, you know, another week. Like it's already been 2 or 3 weeks of, so it was like either Tuesday or Wednesday before Road America. And I've always kind of struggled at Road America, but I was like dead set that this wasn't like, you know, this wasn't going to set me back. My very first lap at Road America was my fastest ever at Road America.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went quicker since then, but up to that point, I never did whatever that lap time was.
Wow.
I just remember I was in Europe at the time, and did it put it in perspective of how big your, you know?
Yes.
I mean, dude,
Yes.
I remember BBC News. Like, I couldn't fathom the scope of how big Nicky was. Like
I couldn't either.
Until, and it's a shame that has to fucking happen for it to understand that. But
And then like his funeral, they need like 2 spots to like have for enough people that want to come through there, and like his funeral is live, you know what I mean? Like the packed out in front of the church, and it was just like you don't expect it. Like every Facebook profile, Instagram profile was a 69.
yeah,
Like you just can't. Like for him, to me, he was just a brother. You know, like the guy. Like we lived together in the winter, and we argued about who was going to take the trash out this week. Like it was just, you know what I mean. We both had our chores around here for the track and other things. Like you just never. And then people were doing prayer services and vigils, and it's just like you don't. Personally, I mean, I knew he was big, but like.
yeah.
And then MotoGP retired his number, and it's just like, you know, it's just like, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think he inspired like a whole generation. You know what I mean? And you were a part of his generation, so it wasn't quite the same. But I know, like for us and for most kids, they'll tell you it's his hero. You know, so it's definitely special. I mean, I remember watching you through that year, just amazed that you were able to survive it personally. I mean, it was like, couldn't imagine.
And I don't know if and another thing through that year, like I wanted to win a race so bad to dedicate it to Nicky and the family, and I kept getting second. Like 6 times I was leading on the white flag lap from the time he crashed. And I mean, it didn't matter what like everybody's like, you got to block the inside. I'm like, dude, I know I'm trying. Like I think I'm like braking as late as possible. Tony's just able to. So I was just like that on top of it of like leading the white flag lap and then get past and then like doing all the things to try to prevent it and he was just figuring it out better than me the last lap. That's all there is. Like even at Laguna, I led to like turn 1, and that was like Nicky's track, and I wanted to win so bad. And dude, I broke so late into turn 1. I was like, "There's no way he's gonna be able to pass me and stay on the track." And here he came, like right up the inside. So that too was another like emotional like. And then when we went to Pittsburgh, like the whole drive there, like we were getting closer, that's when like for the first time I like started to like clam up. Like I don't want to go, And then we go by the spot where I remember like saying goodbye to Nicky, and then I remember like this spot where I was like thinking about this, and then we pull into the paddock and I like see where I got the phone call. Like I just had like a
trauma.
Yeah, just terrible. Like I was terrible on Friday too. Like I used to within the first couple laps, I already did a good enough lap time to make it to the Super Pole or whatever it was. We always had an extra tire at the end of the week. We had to throw one on, so I didn't get outside the top 10 or the top 12 in the last 2 minutes. Like we did that in like 3 years. And I was like, the team's trying to help. Like, dude, it's just here. Like I just got a weird feeling. I can't put it behind. Like it should be like this. And then Saturday, I got pole, but I still knew like it was one lap. And then I ran with Bobier and Elias in the race, and then but Bobier was definitely quicker than us. But I was getting better. And then when I left Saturday night, the crew was like, "Hey, just find a couple tents tonight. We're gonna find you a couple." It's like, you know what? We're going to do it. We came out Sunday morning and was just like, different dudes showed up. Led to warm up, the record lap, won the race, and it was just like kind of cool being, don't get me wrong, I wish it would have came a lot sooner, but it was still kind of cool to like put that to bed at that place.
Yeah. No, it's a crazy story. I mean, the whole thing is like you said, you just can't make any of it up. It's tough, but it's special to see all this stuff.
Yeah.
Especially that you're, on the other side of it enough to be able to reflect on it. So I appreciate that. 'Cause I know it's not easy for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely not easy for sure. It's hard to listen to because, like I said, I mean, from the outside looking in that whole year, it's like, we were those people that were texting you, thinking of you, whatever the case is, but you don't really know.
That's what you do, like it's just like
so hard, like to just go through it. It's so hard.
But you don't want to text the person, but you also want to like let them know, like, like, hey, dude, I got you.
I know.
Yeah. Changing the subject slightly, but I was always curious, how'd you guys end up with the numbers? Like, where did Nicky and you and Tommy get your numbers from?
So the story is, my dad crashed all the time, and he always knew which bike was his because 69 was the same upside down or not. So that's his story, and that's where we got the number, and then Nicky just kept it, and then eventually, I started with the 2.
Did you all start with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then somebody had it when Tommy went pro, and he had to pick a number. So he went 22, and then I couldn't do 69 because Nicky had it. So I had to do 95.
Why 95?
You know what? Anthony Gobert used to have it, and I thought it looked he had the best style, dude. Now, the other stuff he did was a little different, but I just thought the 95 looked good.
Like the number itself?
Yeah, I just thought it looked good on the bike.
Oh, okay. Huh.
That's nuts.
So and I had to pick something. So, and he went back to World Superbike or somewhere. So I was actually flat track national number 95 once and 34 once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For the Springfield race, I was 34.
I was going to ask you, did you guys have any like idols growing up? Like, who did you look up to? Ronnie Jones?
Yeah.
That was my guy, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
He's such a good dude.
Flat tracker, dude. I used to, every year at the Indy Mile, come get his number plate.
No way.
Put it on my bike. You always put the number plate on your bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zip tie it.
Yeah. I was 16, dude, just up and all used to buy his new shirt. I crashed one time when I was in like a 50 or 60 and I broke my collarbone. And we were on our way to watch the Indy Mile. So we went. And we seen him. You used to have to go register every race, at the trailer. And he was there and he's like, what happened? I'm like, yeah, I broke the collarbone. I got a video of it. He's like, really? Let me see it. So he like came up in our box van. And like we got this old ass VCR, you know what I mean? And like, but anyways, he came in there and watched it. Like, dude, I thought I was. I got his new shirt every year, and Nicky loved Bubba Schobert.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Honda.
Yep.
Dude, he was an animal.
Yep. He used to have. You remember that poster of Bubba with the blue and yellow #1 on the Honda from Indy or somewhere? Anyways,
was he in a tuck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On corner exit.
Yeah.
Nicky had that above his framed above his bed in California, like not on the wall, but like yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was Bubba, big time.
So dirt trackers.
Yeah.
Now, did it change like when you guys were 16 and got your first factory contracts? Were you still going to dirt tracks, or was it all over by then? Moved on.
We wasn't.
Like, did you even go watch her at all, or were you
a
guys,
little bit?
Yeah.
Like even like.
I mean, because you're so
Nicky's
young.
First couple years of racing, we were still doing flat tracks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
a
yeah.
little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, okay.
And then, like just hit and miss a couple races here. You know, there was one year, first 2 races of the year, Nicky was leading the AMA flat track points and the Superbike points at the same time.
No way.
Yeah. After like the first 2 races of first.
That's crazy.
And then he had to start. But then you get to a point where contracts would be like, hey.
Nope.
You know,
Nothing else.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because there's the famous video of you guys, 1, 2, 3 Springfield. Like, how does that? Like, how did you guys do that? Like, how? I mean, back then, like, why did they let you ride dirt track? Like,
I don't know.
you know what I mean?
Because when I went to Kawasaki, that was
Done.
And then when Nicky went to Europe, and Tommy raced for Yamaha, so they were kind of. But that was it. We could only do, at that point, those short tracks and TTs and all that, and then eventually it was over. Couldn't do it.
But was it like?
You knew
like,
not to get hurt.
Did you guys look forward to it every year, like that was, or was it just, like, why?
The Springfield TT?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't like, it wasn't a big surprise that Nicky won and Tommy got second.
Yeah.
Like the shock of the night was the guy who got third, you know what I mean? Like I didn't top 10 the year before.
Yeah.
You know, I was like 11th. And then like 3 weeks before, like I tore my meniscus playing basketball. So like a month before, and I missed like Infineon. So I didn't think I was going to race because, I had a jump. And at this point, I'm trying to do everything I can to keep road race seat. And then I just felt pretty good, and I started riding with them. And I was like, you know what? I think I can make the main. You know what? Because back then was keeping the national number.
Yeah.
And I had like no bike, I was like borrowing a wheel from Nicky just to ride with him. And then my dad's like, dude, you, not podium, but like you can get a solid result if they'll let you do it. I'm like, well, I don't have, all the parts. I don't have a pipe. I don't have like, my bike wasn't showing up in a crate. It was at the dealership, and me and my buddy was getting it. So, like a couple days before, we're like, dude, let's just take this one. Let's just take this bike. So, and we rode, and then I took the knobby off the bike, put a flat track tire on it. I borrowed a wheel from Nicky because the exhaust was stock. I made my buddy, like the night before we were leaving, was like trying to figure out how to like drill the bolts that you got a safety wire. Nicky had a mechanic here from his team. They were like, kind of would like help us out, but at the same time, like he's trying to get Nicky's bike ready, and we're like drilling holes. Like we never did it before, and like we got no room for a mistake because I don't have no parts.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to keep my national number because it was like a big deal. And then me and my buddy from high school ended up getting the tire changed. Nicky had a wheel, and didn't really care about the exhaust because it was like a small track, and like just ran pump gas. And we went there, and it was just like all night, dude. I was pretty quick. Like every practice, I was top 5. I actually set on pole for the main because Nicky's heat got red flagged. So I was actually like, my dad's like, you're on pole. I'm like, why do you want to joke like that? And my dad was like, you think I would joke about something that serious? I was like, because I didn't know Nicky's heat got red flagged. And the funny thing was, Nicky was kind of like me from the very beginning, early on, that I learned, like he would ask questions. Like, whatever he's always trying to find a little bit. And he's like, hey, what gearing you got? I'm like, whatever came with the dude, that's all we, that's all
that's all we brought.
That's all we got. And then I was on pole, and dude, it was just like, I was like, just try to go with Tommy and, and Nicky as long as possible. And Nicky was gone right out of the gate because he was already mad because he wasn't on pole and little brother, so he was just like, off the start, wide open around the outside, up over the jump, and didn't see him again till the podium. But Chris Carr was a little behind me and he was like the TT specialist.
Yeah, Prince of Peoria.
Yeah, and just like, dude, I just couldn't shake him. And then finally, like the last 5 laps, like he said he got tired, but I don't know. But I was able to end up on the podium. So like, they didn't even know. Like, I don't even think Nicky knew like we swept the podium yet, because he didn't know like.
Yeah. And
I was just hyped too because I got the first podium on flat track. So I was like, and then when we get to the podium, then it's like. Then it's just like everybody's just going wild. Like my dad always told us growing up, after all the money, the time, man, his dream would just be if we all podiumed to flat track together.
No way.
That would have been his dream.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said it would make every dollar, every time, every overnight car drive, because he was a flat track guy. But if all three of you got, and at this point, we didn't think it was ever going to happen. Some were flat track and some wasn't.
That's so amazing. I think about that all the time with, you see it with like Jet Lawrence and Hunter.
Yeah.
You see it with Mark and
Alex,
but there's 3 of you guys, so it's even more crazy. Like what in that moment did you realize how cool it was? Like how special that was? Obviously, since your dad said that, it was cool, but
I knew my dad always said that, but I really believed it. You remember, y'all might even be too young for this, Cycle News?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, come on.
Dude.
Like I wanted to be on a cover so bad.
There's the cover, right? I've never had a cover.
Oh, yeah.
And Cycle News came out, and it said the family that plays together makes history together. And that's when I was like, dude, this is...
Yeah, and you were 34.
Yeah. So that's when cool. I was like, okay, yeah, this was...
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
You could say you got that on anybody.
Yeah.
You got the 3 of you guys on a pro podium. No, there's so much cool stuff you guys have done. I don't know if you even probably realize it still now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the stuff you guys have done, and it's special. I mean, like I said earlier, I think like I hope you guys figure out a way that the next generation can really soak it all in, because it's a lot. You can make a movie about it, really.
Yeah, it is, and it sometimes you forget, and then you walk through here and it's just like memory after memory, and some good ones, and it's pretty cool to not live in memory lane, but to go through it every once in a while, and just
to have it. It's cool.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool. Like I remember going to Daytona 200 and standing outside during those times. Like I'm at an age where I missed it, but I saw it as a kid.
Yeah.
Like I saw you guys growing up, being pro, and literally these posters, like seeing these posters real time, and then to see them now, like you need it for the next generation, and it's I mean,
it also lets you know how fast time flies,
dude. It's scary.
You know what I mean? Like
it sucks.
You see one of those posters and you're like, dude, that seems like it was yesterday, and it was 25 years ago.
Dude, you look at the bikes and you're like, it's like I would never ride one of those. I don't even know how to ride one of those. Like we were talking the other day about your
SuperSport bike,
dude. Like it's like doesn't look that. It's a factory
stuff.
fucking bike, dude. It's crazy.
It's a bad bike too. Like, I mean, it was
Good.
good.
Yeah. I think the whole thing.
Well, Jimmy, what do you think?
Dude, I think we got to hit him.
The last one?
Have you listened to the podcast?
He said he listens to the highlights.
The highlights.
So you don't
He's a
know.
highlight
I bet
guy.
I don't listen to podcasts.
So do you know the end?
No.
Yeah. You don't listen.
No, I admitted that right out of the gate.
All right, dude, hit him. What is he
All
going
right.
death row for?
I don't know. What is he on death row for, Jim?
Yeah, like have you ever
Have you been in trouble
like
with
have
the
you
law?
ever steal a candy bar from a
No, I mean, yeah, we used to do some stuff. You know what I mean? Like steal a couple traffic barrels and traffic signs, but nothing like
Listen, he's on
criminal.
death row for smashing some poor old lady's pumpkins. So
You're on death row, locked up for life. It's your last day on Earth. What's your meal? What are you eating? What's your death row meal?
It's going to be a ribeye, medium rare, lots of fat, with it's got to be juicy too, with mashed potatoes.
from where?
Longhorn's got a pretty good steak, but I don't know. That'd be pretty good. Outback's got a good one.
No way, really? Just like a chain old.
Yeah,
You don't care.
no. So it's got to be a chain steakhouse though, because they are definitely better than the hole in the wall.
Okay. What you doing a drink
No, Coke.
and then dessert?
I kind of like Oreo stuff. Like, oh, dude, you know what I had one time at Cheddar's? It's like one of those. I also had it at BJ's before.
Yeah.
The cookie.
The Pazuki.
Dude with the ice cream
Yeah.
on top.
Okay. All right. So you're having a prime rib.
Ribeye.
You're having a ribeye, extra fat, juicy,
Mashed potatoes. Yeah.
Coke, and a Pazuki from
Yeah.
BJ's.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that.
From Texas Roadhouse or Outback or Longhorn.
No, Longhorn's better than
shit.
Roadhouse.
That's so
I don't
funny.
wanna-
I would have thought you guys had a good steakhouse down here.
No, not a big one, just those places.
That's so
There was
funny.
actually this place downtown I can't remember the name of it now. But it had a pretty good ribeye one time. That was a surprise. Can't think of the name.
Was it the
yeah,
one we
there's
went to
not-
last night? What was it called?
The what?
The place that was closed last night.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the name
Oh,
of it.
I got a question. What's the best team or best motorcycle you've ever ridden? Like we didn't even talk about.
I think the last Superbike was probably with electronics and full factory bike. But up to that was probably the MotoGP bike in 2007 because I never experienced anything. You know, I was a super sport rider.
Just boom.
So I didn't know anything about electronics. And I remember in one of the practices, my crew chief said, "Hey, we're going to put a new first gear in it." And to me, you know, that meant like taking the cases off and like, you know, it was going to take a while. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to miss the whole session. He's like, dude, it'll be in like a minute. Like they just pull it right, like just they would put a different first gear on it like mid-session. I was just
What?
like, yeah, and it had like lights. Like if I went through this one sector quicker than ever, it would like light up green. And like, it was just like,
Sick.
it was just wild at the time, you know.
What I hate to keep going on this, but what was like the craziest thing about the GP bike during that time? Because it was screamer crazy.
How fast things came up. Like at Laguna, you know, you think there's a straightaway.
Yeah.
On a MotoGP bike, there's no straightaway. And it's 32 laps.
Dude, were you dead?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I was strong then because I had Alden Baker as a trainer, and I was thanking God that day. 32 laps.
And that track sucks. Like, it's hard.
Especially on that bike because everything comes up so fast.
And they're twitchy.
Yeah. Like from turn 4 down to turn 5 is like, yeah. By the time it gets done shaking, you're like braking, and then like, yeah, it was 32 long ones.
Well, very last one. What would you say you hope your like legacy is for the next generation or in general?
Well, I think the big thing was just like being a good person, you know, like help people, a good guy, approachable. Obviously, you want people to think, yeah, he was tough in his day, but also like just a fast dude, but also more than that, he was a good dude. I think that would be the biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, I think he accomplished that.
Yeah. Hope so.
Dude, epic podcast. 3 hours on the dot.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Do you think it was 3 hours?
I didn't even know. I was just,
It flies by.
yeah.
No, we appreciate it. Thank you, Raj. Thanks for having us. Thanks for showing us
thanks
around
for
here.
coming around, boys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for talking about some of that stuff too. I wasn't. We weren't.
And if
we
y'all
weren't
get
planning to go
locked
there.
up tonight after the wedding, just give me a call. I'll come and, I'll be able to come get you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we got Jake Lewis' wedding this evening, so that'll be fun.
Be dance.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
You gonna be breaking out on the dance floor?
No.
Come on.
No. Dude, I just can't do it. Maybe a slow song.
Oh, come
where you gotta I ain't got much movement.
This guy.
Me neither.
Not much movement.
Dude.
Well,
Oh, thank you, man.
thank you.
All right.
Cheers.